Are we live? All right, let's go. Oh, So, good evening, guys. Good evening. Welcome back. The TG podcast is back, people. We are here again. It's been a while. It's been about end of the season, really. So, about a month or so since we last did a podcast. We've got a lit panel today, man. A full stack panel. So it's going to be good. Talking everything to do with Arsenal, of course, the current situation, what's going on at the club, the transfer window. We're going to all to cover today. A few of them will be joining us later as well. But yeah, make sure before you do start, you do hit like buttons up. Subscribe channel if you are new as well. Get your comments down below. Any questions you got for the panel, ask literally anything about Arsenal, man. Put it in the chat. We'll answer them as well. Big at everyone. Let's introduce everyone one by one. And as I said, the links in the description, people, for every single channel. So go into this. I'm sure my moderators, Drew and all them in the chat, if you can pin every single channel so people can go and support each other, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. But let's stop waffling. Let's get into it, people. Who should we introduce first? Let's go. It's been a while, man. He's on the channel a while ago, but it's good to have him back. The absolute legend himself. We got Posh. How you doing, Posh? How you been keeping, my friends?
I'm doing well, thank you. Hope you're good as well. It's a shame we didn't see each other a few weeks ago at the Emirates when we were at the women's celebration thing for the Champions League win. But yeah, no, I'm doing good. It's good to be back on the channel, and yeah, I've been keeping well during the break.
Yeah, good. It's great to have you back. And as you said, bro, that women's parade, that's the only thing with it. Like, it's all good. Unfortunately, we couldn't meet. But listen, that's what success is like, Posh, mate. I've not experienced it. This men's team has failed to do it for 21 years now. So, in terms of winning the Premier League or winning the major honour. So, that's what it feels like. Hopefully, the men can actually, do something about it. You know how it is. But bless up yourself, Posh. Good to have you back on the channel, my friends. Then making his debut to the channel, I think I was with Carl, with this guy, and I was like, I've got to get this guy on this channel, man. This guy keeps it real. We've got an amazing channel. We've got Tops with us, first time on the channel. Yes, Tops, how you doing, my friend? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Buzzing, bro. Big up, obviously, the panel. Big up for you as well for bringing me on my, obviously, debut show as well. Can't wait to talk Arsenal with you guys. And yeah, man, enjoying the lovely weather. So hopefully we can get stuck into it, man, my friend.
100%, mate. 100%. This guy's enjoying the weather, as you can see over there in the States. You see him in the chat, guys. We got Cooper in the building.
What's up, everybody?
Posh,
how are you, man?
Good, thank you, sir.
Tops.
Nice to meet you, bro.
Nice to meet you. Josh.
Always a pleasure, Coop. Oh, look at that. He's got the new training gear on. It's nice to be fair, bro. It is nice to be fair.
It is. My wife bought it for me.
How's it going over there in the States, Cooper, mate? Is it hot as well? Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, it's like you guys. I swear where I live is like exactly like where you guys live. Like if I looked across, I'm sure like London or something like England would be right there because it's gray and rainy here all the fucking time, and then it's like ridiculously muggy and hot. But we have air conditioning in the house, so I can't
There we
bitch,
go.
and a
Love
pool.
that,
So
mate. Love that. Bless out Cooper, mate. Great to have you back as always, my brother. Then we've got Thom with us as well. You guys know Thom. He's been here for years now. Thom, how you doing, my friend?
Years, you make me feel old. But yeah, I mean, I could use some of Cooper's aircon at the moment. I am boiling. Like, this is the first day where I've genuinely felt like air conditioning is needed in my room. But yeah, other than the heat, I'm good. Been excited by some of the transfer rumours that have come out, especially today. So yeah, I can't wait to talk about it.
For sure, man, for sure. And last but not least, we've got the main guy, Rory, in the building. How you doing, my friends?
Why am I always last?
No, best all last. You know what they say.
Yeah, I'm always last.
you're first in our hearts. That's why.
You might as
But
well
yeah,
be last.
I'm buzzing. I can't lie. Sarchi's the new beer for next season at the Emirates, so that's our first signing done already. So I can actually finally drink at the Emirates. I'm buzzing.
The new beer, yeah. Our
Here
first
we go.
confirmed signing, mate. Here we go. What was it, the Japanese beer or something, mate? But anyway, guys, hold on. Where's everyone gone? What are you doing, Reshim, today? I swear down. Reshim out, bro. What, mate, what phase is Reshim in? Fucking get StreamYard back. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Here we go. Right. We'll rock with this. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's get right into it. We're going to start with the news that came out today with this guy, Eze, right? Because it came out a few days ago that he agreed personal terms of Arsenal and he wanted to move to Arsenal. As we know, he was in the academy at 13, wasn't he? And it's his dream to play for Arsenal. That's what he says. Fabrizio came out and said today that we made contact with Eze's camp over the weekend. Contact has taken place for Palace's star with AFC informed on the deal conditions. Now, we know, I think he's got a release clause around £68 million, which can pay in 3 installments as well. As we know, Arsenal do love to pay the installments, so that will suit us even more. The player wants to move. We know he can play left wing, but his main position is predominantly attacking midfielder. I said this earlier today, I did a show. This type of signing is what we're talking about, people. This is a signing that excites us. I know we had a very mid start to the window, in my opinion. Some of the signings that we'll talk about in a minute, but you look at Kepa, Norgard, and who's the other one? Mosquera coming in from Valencia. Zubimendi is a good signing, exciting one, but this one is you really sit there and say, do you know what? This is a proper signing. But I'll come to start us off, Tox, bro. Eze to Arsenal, 68 million. How you feeling about this, man?
Yeah, it's exciting news, like you said, bro. Like, I feel like a lot of Arsenal fans have been waiting for this kind of news to come through because, again, when you look at the last 3 transfer windows, the fact that Arsenal really kind of underperformed in terms of the quality of players that we were linked with and actually ended up getting the likes of Sterling and Neto on loan. Obviously, the last summer window, the fact we didn't get a striker in January, Ollie Watkins was obviously touted, but we didn't end up getting anyone and then didn't win any kind of trophies off the back of it. I think the fans were owed an exciting signing to begin with, and I think this is the signing that we all kind of need in terms of the quality of the player. The guy's improving. He scores big goals in big games, scored in the semi-final and final of the FA Cup, scored at the Emirates as well last year. He scores quality goals, and it's someone that he plays in a position that we actually need. Several positions. He's someone that can play in the 10, that can have competition for Odegaard. Then you look at that left sided 8, where Declan Rice obviously occupies, but we kind of need someone that can maybe spin on the half turn, can thread those through balls into the likes of Martinelli or whoever's on that left wing. And he's someone that can go on the left wing as well. So he's very versatile. He knows obviously the league already. And for me, this is what everyone's been waiting for. Like I said, again, when you're waiting to get an attacking signing, we've not had one in 3 or 4 years, considering Jesus was our last real kind of attacking striker kind of option that we signed, even though he's not really a real striker, he's more like a forward player. You have to go to the likes of Aubameyang for the last proper real striker. But in terms of getting a solid kind of Premier League proven attacker, that's not a kind of a cast off from a Chelsea or a Man United, someone that's actually a top player at their club. They're probably Crystal Palace's best player. I feel like this is a step in the right direction. Hopefully, it's obviously only rumours at the minute and talks with his representation, but hopefully it can kind of obviously develop into a proper proper signing. And then again, we don't stop there, man. Even if we do sign this guy, for me, I know it might sound a bit greedy, but I want 3 signings, 3 attackers. I want a striker, this kind of either hybrid of a 10 kind of backup, or someone to obviously go with Odegaard and a left winger. That's, for me, is what we kind of need to really progress forward into next season. I feel like if we get 2 out of the 3, there's still always a gap and something missing from that attacking lineup. Where, you know, with Arsenal, man, we never kind of fill all the holes that we need to. There's always something missing. There's never like a spot where you feel like everything's covered from top to bottom. And I feel like this is an opportunity for Arsenal to really cover that. And I think the fans deserve it. Like I said, there's a lot of fans that are downhearted for the fact that we wasted 3 transfer windows in a row, not strengthening the attacking lineup. And like you said before, when it comes to the likes of Kepa and Norgard and these kind of players, they're not starting players. The guys there are the backup players, but for us, we're looking at the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City getting the starting players like Renders in, like Wirtz in, and we're looking at Arsenal thinking, okay, where's our signings that are going to be starters that are going to improve the team straight away? And this would, for me, would definitely be one, because Eze can play in a plethora of positions and can start Champions League games, whatever you may be. So yeah, this is the first probably this and the Miles Lewis-Skelly contract renewal. It's probably the first bit of news that I've been actually really happy about, because again, the other signings, why we needed, and okay, with the Zubomendi thing, why he's a good player, because they've dragged out for so long and just announced it 4 or 5 times. It's just lost that kind of
6
pizzazz.
times.
Yeah, this is, bro, literally every time we lose a game, we get knocked out of a competition, then we're signing him again. And like, bro, we're signing like 4 versions of him. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man, it's just been one of them ones where it's just kind of lost its pizzazz. Even though obviously you probably get announced this week, I'm not gonna have the same gasment I would if they just announced it and I didn't know. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of lost its pizzazz, man. But yeah, for me, bro, this is a step in the right direction. Hopefully we can add him, get a proper striker in, and then get a left winger in. And then, yeah, I'll be a bit more optimistic with the season, because at the minute, it's looking like Arsenal are 3rd favourites for the title just because of the business Man City and Liverpool have done. So, yeah, we need some top signings coming in the door. Hopefully this is the first of many, my friend. But, yeah, buzzing with the potential news for sure.
No, I thought you made some amazing points there. 100%. I'm with you on a lot you said there in terms of, yeah, you are right. In the big games, I mean, even against us, wasn't it? He scored against us that 2-2 game, and played very well. We always, every time I play against Palace, you look at Eze every single time. You think, I think we've always known he's been a top player, and that now he's going to hopefully showcase that at Arsenal. But I'll come to you, Posh, on this one, right? In terms of obviously the signing, thoughts on that, but also, where do you think he will fit in at Arsenal? Because I've seen a lot of people say he'll be on the left wing, and I know he can play on the left wing, but I've been saying this about Odegaard, right? Last season, how many performances did he have where he just went missing and he just was awful? The problem is we had no one really there to, if he was playing this bad, to replace him, did we? He didn't really play Wanyeri there. He played more Wanyeri on the right, and we got rid of Smith Rowe. So could Eze come in and actually give Odegaard a bit of a reality check to actually step up his game, do you think, Posh?
I can probably see him playing on the left if he signed for us, and I'm actually encouraged by this signing. I'm glad it's Fabrizio who tweeted that, because him and Ornstein are the only ones that I kind of trust in a way. If we do sign him, yes, that'll be good. I've wanted him for a good number of years now. I think he's a very good player. And Tops, don't worry about being greedy, because this is the most transfer window in a long time.
Yeah.
You do need to be greedy, but it's a case the club won't do it. The club don't do anything like that. Rodrygo would be another option as well, if Eze plays in the middle and him on the left. But predominantly, I think I can see Eze being on the left and Martinelli maybe as the backup. That probably means Trossard might be out the door in whenever that may be. But I don't know. It's quite hard to predict when it comes to because our glorious manager never does things the obvious way, doesn't he? But I can probably see him playing on the left.
Bro, you're spot on, mate. If it makes sense, he usually doesn't do it, does he? He usually does the opposite. Like it's mental. But yeah, I even think even if he did play on the left, I think he's definitely what we've been seeing of Martinelli recently, what we've been seeing of Trossard last season. I think it's an upgrade anyway on a left wing. But what Thompson, who you're saying as well, like in terms of being greedy, that's what we need to be doing. In terms of the attackers, it's quick enough that we want to invest in the defense all the time, right? we need the same energy for the attack. Like for me, even signing Eze, I still need another 3 attackers, striker, the winners, and then Eze comes in as another option for Odegaard maybe. So like we can play there. So for me, like we still need a lot to do, but yeah, 100% Posh there as well. Rory, I'll come to you next, bro. Eze to Arsenal. How you feeling about this, man?
Yeah, I'm feeling good about the transfer, to be honest. I think this would be a level raiser 100%, not only for rotation, but he will hopefully play, I wouldn't say on the left, to be honest, which I think that is where he'll end up playing, because every time Arteta splashes big money on players, we don't tend to see them in their proper positions. So I can see him playing on the left, but in that central position, I think that's where he should be playing. And the way Odegaard's been performing over the last, 5 months, I reckon he could easily displace him, in my opinion. And I feel like with this notion about the fact he is a left-sided player, I don't really agree with that, because Crystal Palace, we know, play a narrow formation. Their wing-backs are their width, pretty much. So that allows Eze to then obviously play as that attacking midfielder, as well as Saul they've got and Mateta. So obviously, they don't really have much width in their formation, whereas Arsenal, how we play our wingers is obviously, the modern way where they have to defend under this manager. So I don't know whether it will work if he was going to play on the left. And in my opinion, I don't think this would necessarily work as a left-sided player, but I just think as a centre midfielder, centre attacking midfielder, can play as a centre midfielder, like as that box midfield position, right? Say if we drop Declan Rice for a couple of games in that 6 role, I think that could benefit us well, because obviously we've had issues with our left side all year, pretty much. For the last 2 years, we've not really replacement for Granit Xhaka, so I feel like this signing would be crucial for us. But what I will say is it will not solve our attacking solutions, in my opinion. I think obviously a striker's still needed, and obviously Rodrygo is more natural on that left-hand side. So that's why I would go Rodrygo over Eze, if that is the plan anyway. Like Rodrygo as our first choice on that left-hand side, and then Eze as the alternative. So, look, ideally, we should be getting both, innit?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 68 million plus obviously 20 million installments. Like, I think that's a no-brainer. And then you get Rodrygo for 70-odd million. So, to me, those two are no-brainers. But I just feel like with Eze, his versatility will bring a part to play, I reckon. And yeah, I've always been a fan of Eze for a long time, actually. And I think, as you said, Josh, innit, that he does tend to turn up in big games, whereas our captain doesn't do it most of the time. So, yeah, I think this will be huge. And I'm not saying it will lead us to a Premier League title. It all depends on, for me, the striker. Like, if we get a Sesko and an Eze, I don't think that is good enough. If we get an Eze, Gyökeres, and Rodrygo, I think we're ready to kick on for the Premier League, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Yeah, for sure. No, 100%. Thom, mate, Eze to Arsenal. How you feeling about this, man?
I think it's positive. I've been hearing a lot of fans, like, obviously I think we should be going in and getting both, but I've been hearing a lot of fans saying that they'd have this guy over Rodrygo, which I think is interesting. And I think I can see him working off the left-hand side, because, well, if you think about like, a few years ago where we were very much a transitional team, hitting them on the counter-attack, we'd be needing the pace of Martinelli, for example. We don't really do that anymore, and we do very much play football on the edge of our own penalty area now, just trying to break teams down. So I think having an extra man in Eze to help break that down, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think we still need like an electric player, like a marquee signing down that left-hand side. To be honest, I think if the right offer comes in, you have to sell Martinelli, because I think for the money that we could get for him now, I don't think it's worth missing that opportunity and him having yet another poor season and then the price going down again. So I think this is the right time to sell Martinelli. And then I'd go and get a proper out-and-out winger and then Eze as well. But basically, I'm echoing what everyone else has said. But positive signing, go and get it done, because I think seeing what Elise has done from that Crystal Palace team and going into Bayern, we could use with that on the left-hand side. So, yeah, I think good deal. I think we should be going in for this one.
Yeah, I was going to say actually about this experiment on the left-hand side. If he was going to play as the left winger for Arsenal, obviously, if you want to make that experiment work, you need an overlapping left back, but we don't do that. Our left backs in midfield, every single one, whether that's Calafiori, Lewis Skelly, both of them are in midfield. But Eze also does the same thing for Palace. So if he was going to come in and play as our left winger, then what's happening with our left-hand side? Because most of our left-hand side will be in midfield, pretty much. So
yeah.
I don't know about it, to be honest, if we were going to sign him as a left winger, but as a centre attacking midfielder, 100% I'm on board with this. But as a left winger, I'm not too sure. But I can see it happening. I can sense it. So
Yeah.
I think there are other players in that kind of profile that we should be considering, like Morgan Rogers, for example. I think he's a top player.
Yeah.
Eze, of course. I think Lookman as well. I think I've been hearing reports from that, but it's from sources that I don't think we should be trusting, to be honest. But yeah, interesting. I think we will probably sign a player like this. And last summer was an absolute disaster getting rid of Smith Rowe and Vieira. Like, I get it, Vieira isn't good enough, and I think he'll probably leave this summer. But to get rid of him and Smith Rowe and replace them with Marino, who is not one of those players, I think that's criminal.
I reckon Marino was actually the replacement for Xhaka. He was supposed to be anyway, but he was moved up top.
It's like we were hearing reports all summer that Arsenal have got to sell before they sign, and we sell Smith Rowe for a complete different profile in Marino. We shouldn't have let go of Smith Rowe.
He's actually better up top than he is in midfield. That's mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, mental. Absolutely mental. Cooper, bro. Obviously, the start of the window we was thinking, Kepa, Norgard, this Mosquera guy coming in. We already knew about Zubimendi. We was thinking, mate, what are we doing here? These mid.
I'm still not excited.
Does this sort of get you a bit, happy in terms of like, so I play like Eze potentially coming in. Like, I know we need a lot more. Don't get twisted. I think we need 3 to 4 more attackers, in my opinion. But play like Eze. How does it make you feel? Is this guy gonna come in? Hopefully, I know a lot of people are saying left wing, but played him as an attacking midfielder. Give Odegaard a bit of reality check, Cooper.
Yeah, I'd play him as an attacking midfielder. He's not a left. Like Rory said, whatever position they play, he'll change him. He's not a left winger. I don't see him playing on the left. Rodrygo, on the left, somebody like that. We need somebody who's explosive. And Eze's not that on the left. He is in the midfield, which, but, see how far, Arteta, plays favorites and keeps, ramming our Odegaard down our throats.
He's not going to drop Odegaard anytime at all, is he?
Nah.
Well, but then why but why would you sign Eze? They're two they're just two entirely different players that I see. One's very exciting and can, actually score some goals. And Eze's a great player. I'd happily take him.
Yeah.
But, I want that fucking striker in.
Yeah, simple as that, innit? It's as simple as that.
You guys know like in the WhatsApp group, I wake up every morning. First thing I do, look at my phone, look at the WhatsApp group to see if you guys have, because I know you guys
The
are
time
6 hours
difference,
ahead
yeah.
of me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, maybe you guys are, like I'm trusting you guys. So hopefully one of these mornings I wake up and you guys are like, we got Yakarez. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But yeah, to me, I mean, he's a great, but you guys know me, like, it's gonna tear my heart out if we don't sign Yakarez.
facts.
I mean, I just love the guy from,
Yeah.
The minute I saw him playing, But,
Even if he had to play right back, would you still take him?
yeah,
Typical man.
That's how desperate he is.
absolutely.
That's how desperate man is. Yeah.
I know, but the thing is like, the dude's turned down all these other fucking clubs. He's made it clear publicly. He wasn't like, Mudryk, who was like tweaking for the club. Like, this man has come out and said, I want one fucking club. I want this move. So obviously, his heart is in it.
Yeah, facts. But it's down to us,
those-
innit? That's the thing.
Who was that on about? Sorry.
Yeah, and
Yokerez.
All right. Yeah.
It just sort of seems to see I don't know what's going on. It just, if we really wanted him, I feel like we would have got him by now, man. I just feel like they're still looking to get Sesko.
Yeah, I think there's too information about Sesko, to be honest. Too much.
Yeah, and trying to follow a lead anywhere, it's like it makes you mentally ill.
Trust me, bro. Especially when I do this. I do it every single day. This transfer news. It's just like,
I know, and then I'm like, I know, and when I see it, I'm like, but the wording isn't like, we've extended an offer or we've done any. It's always this. We've approached
Monitoring him.
Right. Right. How many times can you tell me that fucking Zubimendi's in London? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know.
I'll tell you what, I heard the
London
other day, Arsenal are beauty pagan, bruv, in this
my
in this striker situation.
Fucking
Honestly.
what?
they're what?
Arsenal are beauty pagan
What are
or
they doing,
something
Rory?
in Sesko
Pageant,
and Gyökeres.
That's what it is.
Ridiculous, man.
I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. Who to sign, and hopefully, the sporting director stops being such an asshole, and
Yeah.
because once he's all right, Arsenal can sign him. I think it's more difficult for them to sign Sesko, or get both of them. Sell Kai Havertz, get 30 million for him from somebody.
Yeah, but when you got Arteta as manager, mate, he stays as long as Arteta stays for. Cooper.
How are we even going to get rid of him?
Like,
Even if we had a different manager, how the fuck are we
Havertz,
gonna get rid of him?
Arteta, and Odegaard, they just share a bed every night. That's the only thing that I can see. How else are they playing? And I've got Odegaard sweatshirt.
And I've said if we sign Sesko and Sesko will be on the bench. That's how I see it.
I reckon he'll get longer in.
That's what I Josh, we've said that a million times. We're like, Havertz is going to fucking lead the line, and we're going to spend $85 million on this guy to sit behind the prolific goal scorer named Kai Havertz.
Our highest earner as well on the bench.
Our highest earner, that's right, and that's why Partey wanted money.
Yeah.
You're paying Kai to do. He's not doing shit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not doing shit.
I will say,
the guy gives his heart out.
I will say this now about Thomas Partey, right? This whole notion about him wanting more wages. I think it's a case of him wanting his agent to be paid more money, because there's reports suggesting that his agent has not been paid properly, and he wants from 3% to 10%. If not, and this was back in his day at Atletico Madrid, by the way, he wanted his agent to be paid at least In fact, no, I think he wanted a pay cut, if I'm not mistaken, from 3% to 10%. But Simeone, right, come the end, right, he wanted Partey to stay as well as Thomas Partey, right? He wanted to stay at Atletico Madrid, so it's down to one person. That was obviously Andrea Berta in terms of like contract negotiations. And obviously he fucked it up. So he ended up coming to Arsenal that same summer. Then what's happened is he's obviously not been extended his contract because now Berta coincidentally is now the Arsenal sporting director. So I think it's either one or two things. Berta is the problem, or it's the fact Arsenal and Arteta just didn't want to pay up his... It's either the president or the sporting director here, in my opinion, why Arsenal have not extended Partey's contract. And all this bullshit about the fact Norgard is a replacement for Thomas Partey. I don't believe that.
That's rubbish. That has got to be absolute rubbish.
Like, Norgard is the replacement for Thomas Partey in a way, because Zubamendi and Partey was the initial plan at the start of the window, hence contract talks and thing in the first place, for God's sake. So the plan was to have Zubamendi and Partey.
Yeah.
If this was
Zubamendi was meant to be Jorginho's replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, right, if this was a Thomas Partey replacement, then we would be in talks with Zubamendi. We wouldn't have got the deal done back in the winter, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So to me, this is a Thomas Partey replacement in this Norgard signing. And to me, it's a downgrade, 100%. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to let go of Thomas Partey on a free, the only way I'll allow that happening is if we're going to get an upgrade. A Bruno Guimaraes, someone like that. Not to say Bruno Guimaraes is much of an upgrade on Partey, but I reckon Bruno is the same caliber, caliber pretty much as Thomas Partey. That's the only way I would have accepted Thomas Partey leaving for free, or a Belaber at Brighton. But we've downgraded on someone like Norgard. And I get, yes, he's captain of Brentford, whatever. But at the end of the day, 31 years of age, same fan base that turned their nose up at Watkins in January because he was 29.
He's 29.
We don't want him, but we'll lap up Norgard, who's 31. Like, come on, what are we doing? At the end of the day, right, would you swap out Gordon Ramsay for some geezer who can only boil water? No, you wouldn't. You'll get a flipping upgrade. I don't even like the geezer as well. Norgard I'm on about. Jesus Christ.
Oh, God.
The thing is as well, Rory, like in terms of like Thomas Partey's perspective, you got to think as well, like he's been on the same kind of money for 5 years straight. So from his perspective, it's like, well, I've been on the same base fee for 5 years in a row. I want to like pay upgrade because this is probably going to be my last big contract I'm going to get in my career. So, and as well, because the club obviously opted to make this the last minute, they know that obviously, well, Partey knows and his camp knows, you kind of need me to stay because, again, you've not really got any kind of secure plan. That's why we kind of panicked buying and bought Norgard as well, which is why it's a downgrade. So, yeah, I just feel like the whole situation was a mess. Like, look, I'm not against getting rid of Thomas Partey if you think, okay, he's not worth the money or he's injury prone, but just have a steady plan so you can get, like you said, the likes of Belaber in or a Bruno Guimaraes in like last summer. And I feel like we just left so much to do with Jorginho leaving and Partey leaving in the same summer, as well as messing about with Sterling, getting him on loan and getting a loan keeper. Because now you got to do all these kind of deals in the same window because we kind of kicked it down a can last year because we just got loan deals that weren't good enough in the goalkeeper position and the right wing position. So yeah, man, I think it's a lack of preparation from the club, if I'm being honest. Like you've got two Asian midfielders in 30. They're both going to leave at the same time. They've both got contracts at the same time. You got to put preparations in to get top caliber midfielders to replace them. And then you can obviously have a proper rebuild of the midfield. Now you're looking at it and thinking, because ideally, like you were saying, like all Arsenal fans probably want in those two positions as like 8 and 6 is 3 like starters and then 1 rotational player. And with obviously Partey, Zubamendi and Rice, you're going to get the 3 starters that you're happy to start Champions League games, Premier League games, and then you can get your 4th player, whether it's Marino or whatever, as your rotational guy. Now it's kind of like we've got 2 stars in Zubamendi and Rice, and now you got 2 rotational guys in Marino and Norgard. And if one of the starters get injured like Rice, then you've got 1 starter in Zubamendi, and then the rotational guy's going to have to play these top games like Man City and the Champions League games, which ain't ideal if you want to try and progress in those competitions. So, yeah, man, and again, it puts a lot of pressure on Zubimendi because now he's got to come in and ultimately be better than Partey. Because again, we're trying to win the league. We couldn't win the league with Partey here, and he was good. So it's up to him to come in and be better than him. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure, man. To be honest with you, to come in straight away and hit the ground running in the new league.
He's going to have to play like 40 games a season as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's first season, 40 games, bruv.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like, I don't know.
It's a lot, man.
In my opinion, I don't even think we need more God, to be honest.
Tops.
I really don't, because you've got Declan Rice, who you paid £100 million for in the 8, so you've got him to play there, and you've got Lewis Skelly, so that saves up funds for another defender to come in potentially, so he can compete with Calafiori. So you've got better players who can fill in that 6 than an Orgard, who you'll be selling on anyway for free, I guarantee.
See, I think he's probably going to be playing Lewis Skelly in that left back position, which again, with his like characteristics, I just think he should be in midfield. Like he can play on the half turn. He's got a killer ball. He's a great ball progressor. You can't hardly get the ball off him. Like he's literally all the traits we need in that left 8 that we actually need, and we don't blame there. It's bizarre. He just obviously drifts in midfield from left back. But I agree with you, bro. I think we could have saved a lot of money and put it elsewhere in those attacking options if we just kind of move people around. But then again, if we do that, then you're probably looking at our left back option, saying, okay, Zinchenko's going to leave. Then obviously you've got Kivior, who's not comfortable out there. Calafiori is injury prone. Who's going to be our 2 left backs? Obviously Tierney's left on a free, which I don't think should have happened. I think we should have probably just kept him as an alternative, someone that can overlap, someone that obviously again knows the Premier League, can play, and he's obviously a captain as well, former captain at Celtic. So I think we've made a lot of hiccups. We've let go players that we probably should have kept, and then kept players we should have let go. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of mistakes.
I mean, but bear in mind, right? Thomas Partey and Kieran Tierney have better injury records than Tomiyasu. Who did we give a new contract to again?
Calafiori had the same injury record as Kieran Tierney when he came in.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
We extend his contract, but we let Partey and Tierney go. Right? If we are planning on playing as a left-sided option, then Tierney would have been perfect. Because he could overlap, he could get forward. So he'll have someone who can overlap on his side. But because we've got Calafiori, Lewis Skelly, Lewis Skelly's obviously perfect for the inverted role, but he doesn't necessarily overlap, does he? He's not there to do what we all require a left back to do. So I just don't know what to say really about the midfield, to be honest. I think the fact we've spent 440 million on our midfield and we're still short. Like you shouldn't be spending that sort of money and you're still short. That can't be happening, bro. Like how many?
Well, it goes back to what Tops was saying. I agreed with him when he said there was like no plan.
100%.
Yeah.
Right, like. And I think these were, I don't know. To me, when Partey was on the field, I always felt better. He was like, you know what I mean? You knew, all right, he might have one of his general days, not a left back, but, or right back. But I just don't, for 5 years we've had him, and I've just always felt better than when he was playing. You knew he wasn't going to get pushed around. And he could progress the ball really well.
Yeah.
And to me, I try to think logically, like, why aren't they keeping him? Like, I understand he was injured the year before.
But he's last year he was fully fit all season.
As I
And
said,
he would have been a rotational option this coming season.
As I said, I think it's something to do with Andrea Berta, to be honest, because he treated him like shit when he was at Atletico Madrid in his last season.
But then this is time. That's time for the club to say, listen, man, like. I do the same thing. Like, I don't, for the life of me, understand why Arteta wants Sesko over Gyökeres. Like, can anybody?
Because Gyökeres is ambitious and he can't manage ambitious players.
And And
Right.
also as well, you'd have to drop Havertz because Gyökeres isn't going to be happy
Yeah.
with second choice, where with Sesko will be because he's younger. So that's the main thing. It's the Havertz thing, man. He
Right.
wants to keep him as the star striker.
Yeah, but right, and that's the thing. But you keep saying this is a summer transfer move. You're going to spend $85-90 million on a guy that you want to just sit behind fucking Kai Havertz?
Terrible.
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
It makes sense to Arteta,
You know,
in all
at least-
fairness.
Well, yeah, but at least if you brought Gyökeres in and you had Havertz,
Yeah,
they're two different
that's
types
true.
of strikers.
Facts.
One's a pure striker and one, and but Kai can open up the game, and you know what I mean. It's like I'm an American, and I can see stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. You guys have forgotten more than I know about football. You know what I mean? But I always try to think things through in my head, and it just doesn't make sense sometimes to me.
It's it's interesting when you said that, Rory, about Berta. Like, I actually didn't know that happens at Atleti.
Yeah, he did an interview
I
not
didn't
long
either.
ago, actually.
I heard a little interview saying that he was meant to join Arsenal. Do you remember when we beat them? No, we didn't beat them. When they lost to us when we lost them in Europa League final.
Yeah.
Not final, a semi-final, weren't it?
Yeah.
Apparently that season he was meant to join Arsenal or something, and he said it never
Yeah.
went through because of, I don't know what. I didn't.
Apparently,
read
he was the
into it.
worst paid player as well at one
Wow.
stage. So he wanted more money because of that reason, and then Berta fucked up the negotiation. So he ended up going to Arsenal. Same things happened there. It's quite
Right.
clear because Arteta wanted to keep him and Partey wanted to stay. So I think it is something to do with
it must be
Berta,
that then.
or it's the president. I don't know.
It must be something to do with that. Yeah.
What do you guys think about this thing with the sporting president?
Oh, the whole thing about Gyökeres going on strike.
Just
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was going to ask this. Do
Yeah.
you think Arteta has seen that and been like, because when we're trying to sign Ivan Toney, for example, I think what Posh said about he's got too much ego or whatever, right? Do you think
Yeah.
Arteta?
and he was too old. He was
Yeah, that's what
27.
people were saying. Oh, he's
Too
got an
old.
ego. Do you think Arteta looks at Gyökeres situation and him going on strike and him like crashing out saying, "I don't want to play like that." Because when has he really had that?
Here's my theory on this. I think Arteta, Gyökeres wants to sign for Arsenal. I think Andrea Berta wants to sign Gyökeres as well, but Arteta wants to sign Sesko, and that's the only thing that's keeping Gyökeres away from Arsenal is the fact that he's not Arteta's first choice. And at the end of the day, the buck stops with Arteta when it comes to transfers. And Arteta wants to sign Sesko, and pretty much everyone else wants to sign Gyökeres. That's what's happening. Yeah, and yeah.
Maybe can I just ask you a question? Maybe what Rory was saying about Berta being in charge, that's why Partey got let go. Maybe Berta is making the decisions.
I see. I don't know because
See, again, I tell
I
you,
don't
trying to
think
figure
so.
this shit out makes you mentally ill.
I mean, what I will say about this Partey situation, right, is I don't understand why Arteta doesn't apply the same power as he does with transfers than players.
Absolutely.
Like,
Right.
I don't get it because Arteta wants to
you
keep
you
Thomas
managed him for
Partey,
5
but
years.
we're not keeping him. But I mean, when it comes to big players as well that we've signed for big money, we always let them go for free. You think back to Ozil, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Ozil's another one. I know we paid 40-odd million for him, but still, like, it was our record transfer at the time. So these players have left for free, and all 5 of them happened under this manager.
yeah, exactly. Tom, what's your quick thoughts on Partey leaving, man?
I think Partey leaving shows that whatever we do in this window, it can't be a 10 out of 10 window because
Yeah.
the maximum it can be now is a 9.
Absolutely, Tom.
Because to make it a 10 out of 10 window,
Absolutely.
you have to keep Partey, and he's gone now. I think with Zubimendi coming in, I think he is a very different kind of 6. Like, he will push the ball forward. He will carry it forward, and maybe it's a sign that Arteta wants to play quicker football than we have done. But it just makes no sense getting rid of Partey. I mean, the reason why I would have kept Thomas Partey is to provide Premier League experience at a high level with Christian Norgard, because when Partey first came in, and I've said this before, but when he first came in, he didn't have anyone that he could kind of blend in with, and then, push for, and then have that starting spot on his own. But if you have Partey there with Zubimendi, like say Zubimendi, because he's not played in the Premier League before, puts in a few shaky performances, you've got Thomas Partey there who's established in this league. He's played in this team for 5 years and he knows what he's doing. But no, he's not staying, and I think that's a massive mistake. Yeah, it seems silly because I know Norgard has Premier League experience, but not to the level.
Yeah, it's
But
not
he's
even.
not
Thomas Partey. He's not
It's
got
not
the
even
experience
close.
level as Thomas Partey, so it makes no sense to me.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
It can't be a 10 out of 10
Tom.
window
Like,
now, whatever we
Yeah,
do.
I never thought you would come up with that, to be honest. I didn't think you would. I thought because Rodrygo, Gyökeres, Eze, Kepa, Norgard, that's a 10 out of 10 window. For me, it isn't, because again,
No.
like Thomas Partey is
That's the
Mm.
thing with transfer
like
windows.
levels
It's not
above
just about
Norgard.
incomings. Like when was the last time we ever had a 10
Right.
out of 10 transfer window? Because we can't.
Right.
We're rubbish with outgoing
Never.
players. We
Yeah.
can't sell them, and we let the good ones go for free.
I know.
and we're taking a chance.
Like, if anything, you
Really,
extend
you
this
know,
deal 2 years.
handing the reins to
If anything,
somebody.
you extend this deal 2 years and you sell him next summer.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
get money.
Next summer.
Right, Ellie, and you get something
but-
back.
50 million, another 50 million gone. Aubameyang was how much gone?
Right.
Lacazette, another
350
one.
million gone.
Yeah. And
Yo,
it,
Dom.
nah, it's mad. How you
Yeah,
doing?
Thom. How you doing, Thom? How was footy, mate?
Mate, it's too hot for playing football, mate. My
Oh.
God,
Tell me about it.
I'm sweating. I'm sweating from places I didn't know who.
Whoa,
sweat.
When
That's what happens.
Dom,
when
we're
you
not
get older.
past the watershed yet. Come on now.
Hey guys, how are
Well,
you
you
Yeah,
only
it
played
wasn't, man.
90 seconds,
That's good.
did you not?
No, I came on after 90 seconds. I was subbed. I started on the bench. I came on after 90 seconds.
How long did you play?
I came off for a couple of minutes when I got winded, and then went.
Did
back
you
on
win?
again. So, no. we lost 1-0 to
Ah.
Wolves.
Oh,
Stinker and hooked.
Third defeat. Yeah, third defeat. Oh no, and I got beat for the goal.
Oh, no.
But got third defeat on the bounce. But hey, we got promoted. So we're a bunch of 40-year-old men against not 40-year-old opposition. So it's good at our age. It's good fun and exercise. That's the priority.
There we go. But Dom, we've just been discussing
Oh.
about Eze and Partey. I'll come to you first about Eze. News come out that we could be going for this guy, 68 million release clause. I think you was one of the first ones that suggested him,
Yeah.
right? I remember when we did the podcast, you was like, sign Eze. So you must be a big fan of him. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
what's your thoughts on this, man?
Well, my first thought is it's a transfer rumour, so God knows what to believe, right? My second thought is I'm a big fan of Eze. I like the structure of the deal at 3 lots of 20 million as well, than the 8 million. So I think that allows you to keep spending as well if you want to. But I think the crucial thing for me about Eze is twofold, well, threefold really. One, his Premier League experience, and I think you've sort of seen how much Arsenal value that and how it sort of lowers risks, generally speaking, of transfers. Doesn't make it definite success, but it lowers the risk. But secondly, and most importantly, I think he's a player that offers something that we haven't got from anyone else. He can create something out of nothing. He can stand a guy up and then take him on. He can, drift inside. And then, and just sort of create something against those low blocks that Arsenal found really difficult. I mean, I was listening to Thom just now talk about Zubimendi and his speed of thought and decision-making to move the ball forward more quickly is a real potential asset to unlock the attack, assuming Arteta allows him to do that. And if he doesn't, I don't think he's learned a lesson from last year where we were too slow and too predictable. I think Eze has that in spades, but he's got the tricks and the ability to take on a player with just by running at them as well. So I think that's going to be crucial for those low blocks. And then thirdly, he can play on the left, he can play in a 10, he can play in an 8, and I think that could be quite crucial. I think one of the things is central midfield is missing beyond Odegaard. Wanyeri, I think, will develop into it as he sort of develops and get older. There's very little creativity in terms of that sort of maverick player that can sort of pick that pass, that can, do something you're not expecting. And I think he can do it more than Odegaard. Odegaard, is a good passer. He moves sensibly, but he's not going to beat a man.
Yeah.
Eze, I think, can do both. And I think having those options, if it's 0-0, 1-1, 15, 20 to go, you can take one of your more defensive midfielders off, Rice or Zubimendi, and put Eze on, and suddenly you can sort of go you go single pivot, sort of two midfielders ahead of them that can both unlock a defence. And I just think those options could be really, really crucial, and that's why I'm a big fan of Eze.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think.
Do you see him on the left?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, absolutely, Cooper. He can play on the left. He can. I think he would be different to Martinelli. He would be more similar to Trossard, where he could drift inside slightly more rather than hug that left touch line. Miles Lewis-Skelly obviously inverts, but there's no reason why he can't go past, Eze or Trossard tucking in slightly more and make that left side less predictable. So I think the fact he can play all of those positions really is a real asset, and he can play them to a high level. It's not just that he can play them, but he can play them to a high level, and that's what, again, why I'm such an Eze fan.
Yeah, but Dom, would we have a left-hand side if Eze's always tucking inside?
Well, he doesn't have to tuck in the whole way, right? And I think what you do is you ask, instead of Miles Lewis-Skelly to come infield, he goes beyond him, or you can ask Eze to stay wide. What you want to really do is mix it up. It's I think Rory, we were talking about this with why we both like Gyökeres as sort of our preferred option. He can sort of drift left, and that allows Martinelli to sort of interchange slightly and more. And I think you can sort of do the same with Eze, not with the number 9 necessarily, but sort of with the way we build up, which is have Miles Lewis-Skelly either sometimes coming inside, Eze stays wide, Eze drifts inside, Miles Lewis-Skelly goes outside of him. And I think those differences in attack, obviously, I'm a defender by trade, but obviously at nowhere near Premier League level. Let's not pretend otherwise. But the worst thing I can have is I don't know where the opposition player is going. If I know where the opposition player is going, I can mark them out of the game all night long. It's when you don't know what the opposition is going to do that it's much harder. And I think the ability to do both of those things makes that left-hand side less predictable and therefore harder to defend against.
Yeah. For sure, man. Just a question here. Apparently, I'm dissing Odegaard. Does anyone on the panel actually think he's world class?
No.
Well, if he's world class, then Nasri, Cazorla, Ozil, as much as this fan base wants to dismiss him, he's world class. I've already mentioned Cazorla. Yeah, all them guys are world class. Because I'm telling you, all of them are better.
The label world class. The label world class is thrown around too easily, right?
Rory, you forgot Rob Holding.
He's in a class of his own. Whether that for better or for worse.
Why he made his debut at 15.
What? That's why he got released at Real Madrid.
Why was he let go at like 21 or something?
And
to be fair to Rob Holding, he has world-class hair recovery.
Yes.
Yeah.
He can grow back his hair better than any man I know.
True. I know. I wish he'd tell me the secret.
Yeah.
41 next week, full head of hair, mate. Full head of hair. I mean, no recovery of ability to return the colour for normal colour. But
I'll tell you something. I was 24 when I shaved. I'm 51. I've been shaving. My head's been bald most of my life. I didn't even man, it wasn't pretty when I was I looked like a young guy who was trying to cover. And then I just went.
Come on, you would look sick with a skin fade, Cooper. I'm not gonna lie.
I looked like fucking Homer Simpson when I was 21. Just had a couple strands.
But Dom, what's your quick thoughts on Partey being released? out of contract. We don't want to. Now, Rory was saying something interesting that apparently he had a similar issue at Letty with Berta, and that that's why he left at Letty or something. And this looks like it could be similar at Arsenal. But what do you make of him leaving? Is it a mistake getting rid of him?
Oh, I've always been torn on this one. So, I mean, I think that's really interesting what Rory was saying. I heard, it might have been Rory saying it the other day, actually. I thought it was a really interesting take on that situation. And right now, I'm sure it'll come out in the coming days and weeks if that is the case. But I've always been torn on Partey because I've always had this thing with him that when he's out of the team for a little bit, coming back from injury, he takes an age to come back. And I think with Zubimendi's arrival, he's not going to be playing week in, week out. And therefore, letting him go from that reason, I can kind of understand when he wanted a pay rise. I understand the decision. I think on balance, I would have kept him because, and Thom was alluding to this just now, and I thought it's a really good point, which is we have a really tough start to the season. He understands how that midfield works. And when you listen to players like Partey, like Rice, saying how difficult it is to learn what Mikel Arteta wants of you in that midfield role, I think that reduces the pressure on Zubimendi, allows him to settle in more easily because you've got Thomas Partey there. So I personally would have probably just swallowed the pay rise and given him 1+1 and looked to sell him. But I do understand why we didn't, given in the 5 years he's been here, he's only really had one injury-free season. And he was asking for a pay rise, but he is, as he's shown this season, when he is fit, a quality player. And we're going for a title. And I just think if he's your Jorginho replacement, because of course Zubimendi is the Partey replacement, that is a better replacement than Christian Norgard. I don't think Norgard is a stupid signing, but it's not Thomas Partey. But I think when we're talking about Norgard, he has to be in the context of Jorginho really rather than Partey. But so I understand personally, I would have just swallowed it, and it would have been. I thought Partey was being greedy asking for a pay rise, but if you can get more money elsewhere and you're 32, you can't overly blame him.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be calling him Snorgard really quickly.
Guarantee we only signed him because his name sounds like Erdegaard, bruv. Yeah, we've got the Martins, we've got the Odegaard, the Norgard. Who's next? Lingard?
Damsgaard.
Oh,
Damsgaard,
Damsgaard.
Yeah, let's rejuvenate Lingard's career, bruv.
He's not an exciting signing. He's a sensible signing, but he's not an exciting signing. And I think we'd have all liked to have seen someone else brought in that position.
I think it's
but let's see how it gets on.
I mean, I really do.
Christian Nord VPN protecting your back line. Cool.
Another thing about Norgard is his discipline as well. I mean, he should have been sent off the last time we played him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, when he does that, they've got their excuses about referees being against us and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we all know if he does it again, then he's definitely getting sent off. This is what I'm saying.
Oh, it's mental. All right, let's move on, guys.
It was a naughty.
Let's go on, Dom. Dom,
Has he lagged out?
McDonald's Wi-Fi. For once, I ain't got McDonald's Wi-Fi.
It is. It's like all like skipped.
Is he back? I thought. Dom, can you hear us?
Dom looks like. I'm
back.
Dom looks like Dom. Right now, you look like when you pull up to get your coffee in the morning. You got the headset on and thing You're answering the calls from.
Yeah, I'm phoning you from the call center.
Drive-through guy.
I'm trying to sell you. I'm trying to sell you internet security. Me and Christian, we're selling you internet security.
Norgard VPN.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move to this one, guys. About the Valencia centre back Mosquera. Arsenal open proposal for Mosquera for 14 million euros was rejected. Will return to the table. They hope to get a deal done for 20 to 25 million euros. He said yes to contract terms offered by Arsenal. He said yes to Arteta, to everyone at the club. He wants to go Premier League, wants to go to Arsenal. Now club to club, they're discussing and negotiating. I expect Arsenal to go strong once again. So we're getting this guy in. It seems like another defender, a centre back. Now I think he can play right back as well. I saw him Valencia. He played at right back a few times, so don't be surprised if he uses him another right back. But he can play, of course, left centre back, right centre back as well, because he played quite a lot. People saying he's more cover for Saliba, but if you look at Inter Valencia, he played majority of his games as a left centre back. So I think he's a centre back. He can cover both sides anyway. But so I think he's like
Josh, he's
22. Is he 22?
I can do you the stats. You know how I like a stat. He's 21.
Go on, Thom. Get involved with the
centre
stats.
back.
Oh, 21.
21 last week, 80 games at Valencia at centre back. Mixture of right and left side, but slightly more to the left side. But he's predominantly right-footed, but can play with both feet, and has played 12 times at right back for Valencia. So there we go. All off the top of my head as well.
There we go. I love that. So yeah.
Encyclopedia Dom. That's what I call
Encyclopedia Dom. But yeah, I mean, this guy coming in, younger. What I've seen of him, of course, I ain't gonna sit here and lie out. Literally up, we'll go on YouTube and see the YouTube compilations and make him look good. But of course, you want to see him in a normal game, in a full 90 minutes, see what he's all about. But he looks well established. I feel like you're a younger signing. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, as long as I said this the other day, if we get the other priorities done, that's all the attackers sorted out and we're ready to go in that sense, then I don't mind signing these types of players, like another defender. But that's just me. I'll come to you, Tops, on this one. This Mosquera guy at Valencia, another defender. How are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Obviously, I've not really seen too much of him. I don't really watch La Liga like that. But I feel like in terms of the profile and obviously the position he's going to be covering, it's obviously a position I've been wanting to cover for a long time, especially since obviously a couple of years ago, Saliba got that back injury and we didn't really have adequate cover to replace him. Obviously, Rob Holding came in, wasn't particularly great. So I feel like that's a position, especially with like Partey going as well. We know Arteta likes to use him as a right back. So I feel like his position, be able to play both, obviously, side of centre-back positions and at right-back is probably going to be helpful in terms of giving the likes of Saliba and Gabriel a break. There's no coincidence Gabriel obviously tore his hamstring because he plays near enough every single game. Saliba the same. So I do feel like it's going to be options and obviously a lot of games where this guy can come in and kind of fill in, whether it's League Cup, FA Cup, one of Premier League games or whatnot. So in terms of the actual profile and getting the centre-back in, I'm with you in terms of we probably needed this to be done in terms of a squad filler. But I can't say that, again, I've seen a lot of him in terms of his playing style and how he's going to fit in to be in a Premier League team. But the good thing, obviously, with him is that at least he's got decent centre-backs to really kind of show him the ropes in terms of Gabriel Saliba really there. And also, it makes us not rely on Tomiyasu, who is not reliable at all. I always forget he even plays for us. So, yeah, exactly who. So, yeah, thankfully, we can put that to bed and we don't have to obviously rely on him coming back to be versatile to cover these kind of positions. It's very interesting as well because obviously Rory was talking about like who has the power in terms of transfers, because I did read somewhere that Mosquera was obviously Andre Berta is kind of a marquee sign. Well, one of his signings he wanted to get for Atletico Madrid when he was there. Obviously, when he was there at Atletico, in La Liga. So it does seem like he's brought this kind of obviously target to Arsenal. So I don't know, man. It feels like potentially they're kind of not even sharing, but some of the targets Berta's having full control of. Maybe other target Arteta wants. Obviously, he's having these like first pick, first choice. So I don't know if there's kind of like a split decision of. Some of the players kind of split because again you think of like Kepa, that's more of an Arteta signing, someone that's from Chelsea, that's obviously well known Premier League. Then there's a Mendy, obviously you wanted before Berta came in, but then you look at like Gyökeres being linked, that's obviously only because Berta came in, and now obviously this Mosquera deal again, I've only seen it being linked when obviously Berta came in. So yeah, I think he could be split, but in terms of the player, I think, again, I've not seen too much of him. I'll be interested to see if we can get the deal over the line, obviously, before pre-season. How we can integrate into the team, maybe get him playing at right back, maybe get him playing at centre back, see if we can form some kind of partnership with our other defenders, and then see what kind of a role he kind of plays. Because, to be honest with you, we say, obviously, he'll be a backup, but, again, we've seen how much we've used Kivior over the last 2-3 years because we've had injuries in the defence, and he's obviously seen as a backup as well. So, these guys, even though the squad fillers are not exciting, I get that, they can be very crucial to obviously a whole season of trying to go for all four competitions when you get injuries in key areas. So yeah, hopefully he's decent, hopefully he's good, hopefully he can obviously improve with the centre back partnerships we've got. And again, hopefully we can give like the likes of Timber a rest as well, because he's another one that's been flogged to death at right back because we haven't really got that proper alternative. So maybe he can fill in and obviously give Timber and maybe Ben White, who's obviously coming off a knee injury, a rest. So yeah, I think overall in terms of the profile, it's good that we're obviously targeting that position, but it's obviously remains to be seen if he's actually any good, because obviously we have to wait and see, man. But yeah, I'm happy with the profile that we're targeting, and hopefully he's good, man.
Facts, bro. Yeah, absolutely spot on.
Hey, can I just
go on,
interrupt for a sec? If you guys haven't hit the like button or
Thank you,
subscribed to the channel, please do. And there's a link. I think Drew has been dropped it for voting for Josh.
Thank you, brother.
Best young content creator. He's part of our lives. You know what I mean? So
Thank you, Coop, brother.
Just show him some love.
No, thank
Sorry.
you for that, mate. That really
Continue.
means a lot, as always, Coop. I really appreciate that, my brother. But Thom, what's your thoughts on Mosquera coming in, bro? Are you with it? It's just like more depth for us.
I think it's something that needed to be addressed, because when you look at right-sided defenders, I'm going to rule Tomiyasu out for this, because when was the last time he actually put in a decent shift?
When was the last time he existed, to be honest?
He got those 2 minutes against Southampton, Rory, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly my point. I'm going to rule Tomiyasu out for this. If you look at right-sided defenders that we've got Ben White, Saliba, and Timber. So say Saliba gets injured, and you starting right-sided defenders with Timber and Saliba, and one of them gets injured, you've literally just got Ben White to cover for them. So I think that is an area that we needed to look at, and I think I'd feel much more comfortable playing Mosquera right centre back than Kivior, because anytime Kivior's played there, I think he's looked a bit lost, especially to his performances on the left side of defence when Gabriel's been injured recently. So I think bringing in this kind of player, this kind of profile, again, it's a good one, and I think we were trying to go in for Dean Huijsen as well. So I think the club wanted to sort this out this summer, and I think it's good that we have. About the player, I don't really know anything about him. I mean, I might have searched him up on FIFA a few times, but that's about it. I don't really know much about him, but apparently he's good. What I do know about him is his brother does seem like a bit of an idiot, but other than that,
I thought it was the Wolves one for a second.
Yeah, the one that plays for Wolves, I hate him.
Yeah, the one that caressed Jesus.
Oh yeah, the one that grabbed.
Yeah, and
squeezy.
I thought it was him at first. I was like, no.
Yeah, and strangling Kai Havertz. So yeah, his brother's a bit of an idiot. Hopefully, this guy's a bit better. But I don't want to hear any dodgy stories from training sessions. But yeah, it should be good. It should be good.
Well, Thom, there was that time when he. No, I'm joking.
Nah. Posh, what's your thoughts on this guy coming in, Mosquera, another defender?
I'll be honest, I didn't know much about him. I originally thought it was the Wolves player when I heard, we linked him to the Mosquera player, but it was for Valencia. Again, I don't watch La Liga that much, so I can't really say I know much about him. But like I said, I'd rather we get our attacking signings sorted out first. But I don't have much to add. I hope he does well for us. He's probably going to be a backup, defender to Saliba and Gabriel. I can't really say much because I don't know much about him. Other than I hope he does well for us.
For sure. Rory, Dom, Cooper, anything you want to add on this before we?
I mean, for what I've heard and what I've seen, I went back and I watched a couple games. He's he's fast and he's a pretty physical guy.
Mm.
That's what I've seen.
I mean, I've done a little bit of research on him, as you might have noticed from my reading off the stats earlier. But obviously, it's based on reading and watching clips because I can't say I watch Valencia 38 games a year, to be honest with you. But I mean, his assets seem to be that he is a really solid defender. His tackle success rate is high. His dual win rate is high. He intercepts the ball well. So he seems to have all the sort of assets you'd want of a defender. He can carry the ball well out of defence. But I mean, the downside of him is going to definitely be that his passing is not brilliant, which I think for a ball dominant side is going to need some work. And obviously, while he's quite experienced for a 21-year-old, he's going to need a little bit of bedding in time, but he's also going to be down that roster. But I think, and a couple of guys sort of alluded to this earlier, I think the key thing is that he balances out that defence. So, I mean, he's going to come in for 15 mil-ish. Zinchenko presumably is going to go. So he sort of moves the balance sort of more even. So I think from that point of view, it's a sensible signing. But Posh is right. If you look at our signing so far, Zubimendi, I think, is obviously a starter and an upgrade on Partey potentially, or certainly a fitter version of it. The other signings are all sensible, smart signings, but they're depth signings. What we need to see now is go for those big key attacking signings, because that will be the make or break of this window. But Mosquera seems a sensible signing, but we just don't know until we see him. And, he's going to take some time to bed in and see what he's made of, because he's a 21-year-old defender coming to the Premier League.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Hold on a minute. Anyone want to follow me on Twitter? I'll make sure you do there, people. I don't know what happened there. Hold on. But
well, at least it was Twitter that came up and not something else.
Crazy. All right, let's.
Yeah, in terms of the Mosquera
Rory.
deal, right? I might have to be careful what I say, or else I'll be called a fake fan, innit? But yeah, look, I'm not going to pretend I've seen every minute of him. I mean, as most of us thought already, when we were first linked with him, I thought it was the Wolves one who moved to Valencia in January or something. But yeah, from what I've heard, he's a decent centre half, and he can actually play right back. So yeah, another versatile defender, I guess, which of course Arteta values in it. So I can't really comment on his attributes or anything like that, because again, I've not really watched the guy play. In fact, no. The Real Madrid-Valencia game, perhaps, I had that in the background whilst Arsenal were playing, I believe. So, yeah, when Valencia beat, who was it, Real Madrid?
We was watching it because
did he score?
that was the game before they played us, wasn't it? For Champions League. That's why I think people were watching it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it wasn't on at the same time as Arsenal. My bad. But yeah, I watched a little bit of that game, and yeah, I think he scored if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's all I can add really. I think he's a decent centre half who'll provide backup, and we've needed cover for Saliba for about 2 or 3 years. So if he comes in, then
the days of good old Rob Holding.
He's an upgrade.
Yeah.
We got a question here just before we move on to the other news. I'll go around the whole panel for this. Simple. Who would you sign as a striker? Now, in terms of like realistic options, the one I want is if you talk about Gyökeres or Sesko, Gyökeres for me. But if there's other strikers out there, I would love Osherman still, man. But I know it's just the whole wages side of things. I think Thom said this to me the other day about his demand is flipping. Was it 400 grand a week or something in the UK?
If you wanted to match the offers that he's turned down because of the differences in UK tax to Turkey, where he currently is, and to the offers he was given in Saudi, it would be a base of 450 a week.
Wow.
Because of the tax base is much higher here, so to match it, exactly.
Yeah, I get you.
So he didn't turn down 450 a week, but the tax base is lower, so therefore that would be the equivalent offer in the UK.
Yeah, he's good. Needs to lower them, bro. Lower the
yeah,
wages.
He would have to.
Lower
if he was willing to, I'd be way up for Osman, but
for sure.
But not at 450 a week.
Nah, yeah, that's true.
I mean, I know as fans we just want to win, but we also have to be realistic about what isn't achievable, and 450 a week for.
Nah, that's
Is it-
ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely beyond ridiculous. That is. Posh, who's your ideal striker, man?
Well, I think you know my answer. It's Gyökeres. But what
I
I
thought it was me, Posh.
what I will say, I'm not saying this person is my first choice for striker, but if you want a hot take, I think that Ollie Watkins is a better option to sign than Benjamin Sesko, because A, he scored more goals, B, he's more experienced, and C, he's Premier League proven. But obviously, we're not allowed to sign players over the age of 27, even though we've signed Norton who's 31 years old, and our fans are happy about that for some reason.
I mean, how many experienced Chelsea players we've signed?
Oh, yeah. Hope you're ready for Madueke, by the way.
Wait,
No.
mate.
Anyway.
Who's seen the
yeah.
Nicholas Jackson link as well?
I
by
was
the
just
way?
going to
Yeah,
say
I've seen
Nicholas
that as
Jackson.
Yeah.
That's your
No, mate,
fault.
I'm not being funny. If we want Madueke for how much would it be?
50 million. Yeah,
50
50
mil.
million.
Yeah.
If we want Madueke for 50 million, go to Manchester City and pay that money for James McAtee. Go and pay the money for James McAtee instead. 'cause it's
If he's
better.
worth 50 million, I'm worth 70.
Oh,
Crazy.
Go and pay 40 for
Trust me.
Hudson-Odoi. I mean, he's former Chelsea, so he almost counts.
Yeah.
He's a
I'll tell you
baller.
what, I prefer Hudson
He's
Odoi.
a
I would
baller.
Madueke, yeah. Hudson-Odoi, yeah. But no, Posh, you know what? That's a fair point, like, with Watkins. Like, I go back to the January window, though, when we should have got him there.
Yeah.
Should have got him in January window, man.
Yeah, no, as I mentioned earlier, we didn't want him apparently as a fan base because he was 29, but we're lapping up the Norgard
Yeah.
signing. When
Yeah.
he's 31. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
it doesn't make sense, does it? Tom, bro, who's your strike? Eddie and Ketty are coming back?
Oh, go on.
I'd take him back at this point. Jesus.
See, I'm not alone. But
No, I was so happy when Crystal Palace bought
but
him.
I mean, there are a few strikers on the market. I think, to be honest, I don't really care at this point. I mean, if you want
Yeah.
Sesko, go and get Sesko. Gyökeres is another option, but I mean, Isaac, Julian Alvarez, players like that.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I'd take them. Julian Alvarez,
you're
yeah.
right, bro. Julian
Gyökeres.
Alvarez,
I think
yeah.
there are some other players who have done it in the Premier League as well, like Ollie Watkins, Mateta. I think he's proven now. Strand Larson at Wolves as well. There's a bit of a wild card option there, but yeah, to be honest, if you want Sesko, go and get Sesko. Just get a striker in, like a striker, not a midfielder to put up front. Just get a striker. I don't really care who it is at this point because it's been dragging on for how long now?
How many goals has Strand Larson scored?
I think
last
it's
season?
13.
How many? 13?
That's the same amount as
Bro, I've never
Sesko.
seen that geezer score a goal. Yeah, I've never seen that guy score a goal
Yeah,
last season.
it's like that one. He scored all the goals.
Every time I watch the geezer, I've never seen him score a goal, but he scored 13.
Let me have a
Are you
look.
mad?
Was it 13? No, it was
14.
14, yeah.
That's more than
He's
Sesko.
scored more goals.
Strand Larson.
Wow.
Hugo Strand Larson.
I mean, if Sesko was that good, then why aren't buying him for him then? I don't understand.
Yeah, we seem to be the only club.
I mean,
We
that's
seem
a
to be the only
huge
club in
red
for
flag.
Sesko at the moment. I'm not seeing anyone else. Like,
But that's the thing. That's the way it's been all fucking summer
yeah,
I mean,
so far. Nobody's in form.
I
except
like
us.
Sesko. I don't think he's a bad player, but the thing that's putting me off are the reports that he wants a release clause. Like, I don't think
Yeah,
I don't
in 2
think
years.
Arteta will like that. Seeing Arsenal as a stepping stone to Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, I don't
Yeah.
think he'll like that, and I don't think we should be accepting that.
Yeah, and he wants money like he's Ibrahimovic,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh, I don't do trials.
Yeah, that's. I forgot about that release
Yeah, I mean-
clause. He wants it after 2 years.
Yeah, I think
Like, that's almost an
I
insult
think that's
to
a
the
red
club.
flag, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
what I was going to say, right, is I don't mind if Sesko comes in as long as you've got two world-class
Yeah.
wingers. If you bring in a Rodrygo and a Sesko, I don't really mind that, to be honest. But if you get a Sesko and a Madueke, then
God.
yeah.
it's
I
not
don't
easy.
think Madueke will happen. I hope Madueke doesn't happen.
You know what? I think it's going to be either Rashford, Madueke, or Jackson, to be honest. I reckon that's going to happen.
That's a
Rashford's
fucking
supposed to go
nightmare.
back to Man United, so
Ugh,
I can see it
That's a-
happening.
That's a nightmare
so
situation.
bad. So bad. In terms of obviously the striker situation, I feel like for me, I've got to go for Gyökeres just for the simple fact that his goal tally in Portugal, and obviously it's not as good as the league as obviously the Premier League, but when you look at his numbers and you see not a lot of players even in that league are even matching him. I think he got 39 league goals. Obviously last year, I think the next obviously his second top scorer had like 17 or something. So it's a massive gulf in terms of how many goals he's getting in that league. And for me, it just cuts out all the excuses. Like with Sesko, you've got that thing of, oh, he's young, he's going to take time, he needs to adapt to the league. Obviously, he's not got any kind of history of scoring more than 14 goals. Whereas at least with Gyökeres, he comes in straight away. There's high expectation of him to score goals. That's what he's here to do. He scored goals in Portugal, he scored goals in the Championship. There's no like wiggle room for any kind of excuses with him being in the starting lineup. Whereas Sesko, there's obviously an excuse to put him on the bench because, again, he's young. There's an excuse for him to learn from Kai Havertz for a season. So then there's not that kind of pressure of us trying to go for a league title, and this is going to be the guy. I feel like for me, like you were saying, if we get two top wingers, and obviously Sesko, it'll be a bit better. But I want a gunman, man. I miss the days of Aubameyang of going to games where it doesn't matter who it is. It could be Burnley at home, Wolves away, Man City at home.
Yeah.
You know Aubameyang's going to score. You might not know what the score's going to be, but you know he's scoring. And
Yeah.
it's one goal.
Yeah, look behind you. You've got two world-class strikers behind you.
Literally, two gunmen, the top two scorers of obviously the club's history. So that's why I miss like seeing, man. Because again, at the minute you're looking at the games and you're thinking, well, we've gone to the point where we're hoping we get corners and set pieces, and Gabriel could be on the end of it. That's how bad it's got. We ain't got a proven goal scorer. It's crazy. So yeah, for me, man, we need a guy. When you look at the score of the team sheet and you're like, yeah, Gyökeres is playing. We've got Sunderland at home. He's scoring at least one goal, or whoever the striker is going to be. And until we get that kind of feeling, that's when you get more confidence in your team that they can actually do something in the league. Because again, you're just kind of hoping Saka does something or the left winger does something. But then when they don't, it's like, well, we know Kai Havertz is probably not going to do anything, or if he scores one chance, he'll miss two more. So yeah, man, I just think for me and for the fans' sake, to get in someone that everyone's expecting them to score goals, I think will be probably give the fans more of a lift and going into the season and have everyone a bit more positive that we can possibly win the league. So yeah, for me it'll be Gyökeres, but I think we'll probably get Sesko, to be honest.
Yeah, actually, about that, I think that's a very good point. Expectation. I think whoever the striker is, he has to come in and play well, else the days are numbered for the manager. He's got to come in and do well.
Well, we do have Norgolf, to be fair, who could dash the ball from long throw-in. So he's not bad.
Stoke, mate, we're literally Stoke, innit? With what's his name? The lap.
God, so
He can
bad.
lob it in the box. Marino can get it in.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that we haven't got João Pedro, because I really don't think he's all that.
Yeah, I don't rate him either.
All Liam to that.
Do you guys need to ask?
No, we ain't got to ask
Why?
Cooper who his striker option is, mate. Just take his profile picture.
Can you just confirm it real quick?
I'm just saying, like, when I first met you guys, like, Josh, you commented on my profile picture.
Yeah, to be fair,
It was
he's had it for a
authorized.
good year, or maybe even more than that. Or he's wanted Gyökeres for years. Bro.
Yeah, it's
I
been,
thought it was Vlahovic you wanted.
yeah. Oh, that's why I liked watching Juventus, because you laughed when he
Yeah,
missed.
Misovic. It's crazy.
There's that guy. There's a guy who has. But anyway, Forza Napoli.
Oh, Lord, Lukaku. Lukaku, yeah.
Right.
He's
But
bagging
yeah,
goals
I
in
mean,
for fun, to be fair.
it's look. I don't give a shit. He got 39 goals. People say, "Oh, it's the Portugal league." It's not just in the Portugal league, you know. I mean, he was how many? He scored 5 goals in 6.
He got a hat trick against Man City
Championship League.
in the Champions League.
Right, in the Champions League, right? It's like the guy scores, and if he doesn't score 39, he can score 25. You get me a 20. That's what we need. We need an old-fashioned just bruiser in there that's gonna, finish. We don't have anybody who could finish.
Yeah. Exactly, Coop. But the whole league thing, I look at, like, it's just like, I mean, you look at Bundesliga, you've seen strikers do well. Like, it just happens in different players, for me, adapt to in the Premier League differently. Like, you look in Bundesliga, At Leipzig as well. You saw Werner score how many goals? 20+ goals in Bundesliga, right?
Yeah.
And
Kunku as well.
Kunku, 20+ goals. They come to Premier League and they can't
Havertz
play.
as well.
Havertz, yeah.
Havertz as well, yeah. So like, the whole Portuguese league gimmick is just like, and then you're right. He's done it in the Champions League. He's done it even in Championship. It's a tough league, as we know. We've seen players do well in the Championship. He did really well for Coventry as well. Like,
I was told the Championship's a piss league, by the way.
yeah, this is what people want to say.
It's mad.
It's one of the
But
toughest leagues out there.
Plenty of players have come from the Championship and scored goals in the Premier League. You know, Tony has, Watkins has,
Watkins.
Yeah.
you know,
Vardy.
Mitrovic.
Yeah.
Vardy, Mitrovic had a good season.
I mean, Callum Wilson.
Man, I remember
Yeah,
when
Wilson,
I wanted
yeah.
Mitrovic.
Yeah, Harry
I
Kane
remember
as
I was
well.
like, I
He
wanted to
scored
sign
goals,
Mitrovic.
Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think and even if you're going to keep Kai as a striker, Gyökeres he can change the game instantly when you put him in. And Kai can play in other games. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like well, you guys. I mean, Kai runs his heart out for the club, but they're two different players. They can change the game if you know what I mean. If we need to, but yeah, I just think it's ridiculous about the Gyökeres thing. Like, I've never heard anything about like this is the first time I've ever seen like a sporting director, I guess, like or hold the player back. You know what I mean? Like, go back on what they said and. I mean, they know they're blocking, and that's what I'm kind of hoping. Even though we don't know anything, maybe Arsenal we're just waiting them out. You know what I mean? Till they drop the price.
Yeah, but again, like, if we keep waiting, do you not think that's a risk? Because then we can.
Thought they're going to get done
No,
1st July. We've got 3 hours until the 1st of July.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but again, you want your striker in before pre-season, because like we did it with Jesus, if you remember. He had that. We had that fantastic start to the season where in the pre-season as well, we built on from that. Like, Jesus he scored against Sevilla, I remember. He scored I think Chelsea, like all those games we had. Zinchenko has played really well. I think Saliba got his chance, and then that carried on in the rest of the season. Like, if we're waiting until Man United at Old Trafford, I think like putting them in that tough, because it's going to be. That tough start of the game, that tough like fixtures, like Anfield as well. I think it's in there, innit? Man City at home's in there. So these
Newcastle away,
Newcastle away are in there. So like, I think they're gonna have to come in. The strikers can adapt. Like, I want him in before pre-season at least.
I think you certainly want him in before the pre-season tour, right? I think at this point we don't need to worry, but the time is starting to come now where, like, look, we are getting on. I've never panicked about this window timing wise, because right now we'd be paying them to be on holiday. But I think you're absolutely right that you do want them in before we go to Singapore and Hong Kong, because, as you said, Jesus, is unfortunate. It's a transfer that didn't end up working out because he got the injuries, but it was a good signing. And partly it was a good signing, as you say, Josh, because he was in early, got the full pre-season. And we know how important pre-season is to players. Like, when players miss a lot of pre-season, they can really struggle for the rest of the season. Theo Walcott spoke about it before, but getting them in early is important. You're spot on there.
I just got a Google pop-up on my phone, and it said that, I don't know how true this is, but it said that the sporting director of Sporting is going to lower the release clause.
Really?
Seriously, it's a Google thing. It just popped up on my phone, and I read it real quick. I don't know. It was just.
I don't know. I mean,
you know what? I've got sneaky.
Yeah.
What was that, Rory?
I have a sneaky feeling.
I don't think.
I felt like that for a few weeks, to be honest.
I don't know, Coop. Hopefully they do, man. Hopefully they do. But
I
I
mean,
don't know.
earlier today he came out and said that he wasn't going for anything less than 70 million euros. So we'll see. I think the striker situation, it's going to be Sesko or Gyökeres. I don't think it's any coincidence that suddenly we're being linked with Ekatike, who costs more than them, despite the fact we're saying it's because the other two are too expensive, or the
Yeah.
Watkin links have come up again. Right? This is Arsenal basically saying, give us your best price or we walk away. I don't think Arsenal plan on walking away. I think it's a play. I think the Gyökeres or Sesko will be one. It will be one of those two, and I think it will come down to price. And I think it will come down to price for two reasons. One, Arsenal want to get the best deal because it gives them more money. But secondly, they are very aware that they want to bring in a left winger, and I think Rodrygo is top of their list. Eze, I think, very high on it. But Rodrygo, you're looking at 70, 80 million. So you want to save your money. So that's partly why Arsenal have saved money by going for Kepa instead of Juan Garcia. I think Garcia no longer was an option. I think it's why we're seeing this young Mosquera come in at £15 million as your defensive cover and replacement for Zinchenko. It's why with Partey walking out the door, we've gone for Norgard, who is probably a sensible if uninspiring pickup, right? But none of those deals cost a lot of money. That's 35 million for three squad players who are probably in and around the number 20 in the squad list if you were to sort of talk about their importance. And I think it is about getting the money available here. So I think that's where it's going to come down for. I don't really mind whether it's Gyökeres or Sesko. My preference is Gyökeres. He's played championship football before, so he's used to England. He's scored lots of goals in Portugal. He scored goals in the Premier League, but I think most importantly, and again, I sort of Rory and I have talked about it before. That ability to drift left, I just like that fact, which allows Martinelli to run through the middle or whoever the left winger is. I think makes that left side more potent and means that sides have to worry about both sides of our attack, not just one. And I think that's why I prefer Gyökeres. I think the stats between Sesko and Gyökeres are very misleading because I think the quality of the two leagues are very, very different. So Sesko in 8 games in the Champions League has 4 goals. Gyökeres has 6 in 8 games in the Champions League, including his hat-trick against City. So they're not a massive miles apart in terms of your stats in the only thing you can sort of compare them with. And they're slightly different types of player, but Gyökeres is more different to Havertz. And I think that Havertz being in the squad as a second striker, if you like, is probably where he did his best work at Leverkusen as well, which means, again, if you're chasing that goal late on, I talked about it earlier with Eze, but another option is Havertz and almost having him as a second centre forward. That's where he tends to do his best work. But yeah, as I say, I think it's Gyökeres for me, but it will come down to price. But I think the two things that really unlock Arsenal's attack for me are more competition on the left and moving that ball faster. If Havertz had stayed fit for the whole season, just extrapolating out his stats, he scores 22.7 goals. From 38 games, and we know that Havertz has. I think he's gets a bit of an unfair rep. But the one thing I think he is definitely lacking in is he is not a clinical finisher. So if Arsenal can increase the number of chances by improving that left side and improving the speed of our attack, and you have a more clinical striker, you could see a striker going towards that 30 goal mark if they played in the full 38 games. Because if Havertz would have got 22.7 with the slower attack, with the left-hand side not being as good as we know it could be, and we know he's not clinical, what could a clinical finisher do? And so I think it's not just as simple as a number 9.
Yeah.
I mean, and this affects the club for years. This window.
Yeah.
Who we sign. It's a big. I mean, it's a big window.
It's huge, mate. Yeah.
And I agree with Thom that the signings that we've made, right, Thom? We've spent. I've noticed too. Like we haven't spent anything. And I think they want Gyökeres. I think he would be here if whatever was happening wasn't happening. But we all know that Sesko's club, they don't sell players cheap. And And then you're right. I think we got to save our money and get somebody serious like Rodrygo.
I mean, Arsenal hold the financial cards with both deals, right? Both players seem to want Arsenal. Gyökeres' situation could change more if a Liverpool or someone like that really came in. But clearly, Manchester United have been interested, but clearly he doesn't seem as interested in them as he does Arsenal on the table. So that does give us a sort of bit of a negotiating position there. Less so, though, because there are other options if it falls through. But Leipzig have no Champions League football and no other suitors. So Arsenal do have a really strong negotiating position there. But this window, as you rightly say, is crucial because there is money there and this squad is close and it needs to win. And all of those things put a lot of pressure on the new number 9 because that's sort of the shiny new toy, and it puts pressure on Berta in his first summer. But ultimately, although it will be Berta and Arteta making the transfer decisions, it will be Arteta who's on the hot seat out of the two because Berta's the man that's just arrived. So it has to go well, and he has to make it work.
Yeah, facts, man. A quick question for the panel as well. Like, how much money do you think Arsenal need to spend this summer, and how much money do you think they will spend? Just a quick question.
One of my favourite questions. Look how excited I am. We're talking money. I love it.
Go on, you go.
Like a true.
So I'm proud of this. So I wasn't far out in terms of how much money Arsenal had to spend in January, which is why the Watkins bid was as low as it was, because they didn't have much headroom to increase it. And then obviously Duran was bought by Saudi, and that meant Watkins wasn't possible. Being interested to see what had happened in a sort of ulterior universe. I think Arsenal can spend net, by which I mean they can add on anything they sell here, plus they can put wages in. So Arsenal saved a lot of money in wages. So Kieran Tierney is saving.
Plus, we got the new promotion yesterday.
Big signing, the new beer at the ground. I had to cover that at lunchtime. Breaking news. But so Arsenal will have 200 mil to spend plus any wages savings they make, which I think they will, with Thomas Partey going, Zinchenko going on big wages potentially, etc., etc. So I think you can probably add another 15 to 20 million on wages savings, even with players coming in over the course of the season. So that's 220 plus any sales. So I think Arsenal have a lot of money to spend. I think trying to spend that in one window might be difficult, but I think Arsenal have a lot of money to spend. I really do. Last summer, I said the opposite, that Arsenal didn't have a lot of money to spend, and it was an odd window. I've always maintained that, and I think you have to sort of put that into context, and that's why, one of the reasons why we didn't see a lot of activity from around the leagues was because the window was quite a sort of quiet window, but also Arsenal were quiet because the signings that they wanted to make just weren't there, and they had to go to ulterior options. This summer, I don't think that is an option. Arsenal have 3 years of Champions League football because this year's Champions League football will be included in the calculations. They made a decent amount of money last year from sales, and they had a quiet window last year. So Arsenal have a lot of money this year, which they didn't last year.
Yeah, there we go.
I couldn't have said it
There
better
we go.
myself.
It's almost like I did a lot of nerdy research into it to do it. Everything, because I am nerdy.
I mean, how do you follow that? How do you follow that?
Big up for got super chat. Big up for Half Viking. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, let's hope there's some positive news from all the uncertain transfers. Excellent live stream. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the super chat. Really appreciate the kind words as well, man. And that really does mean a lot. So bless up yourself, Half Viking, as well. There. Let's
By the way,
move
does
on.
anyone want to disagree with me on the amount of money we got to spend?
Nah,
we're good, bro. We're good.
we're good, man. You explained it very well.
When it comes to money, I trust
I thought it
God.
was quite a good question.
Josh has got the poshest man on YouTube on and the nerdiest man on YouTube on.
Oh, I love that, man.
Look, in terms of your question, Tops, right?
Yeah.
I think what's got to be done this summer, right, is, and I would say 292 million. If you need a goalkeeper, obviously we've already got 11 million on Norgard. You've got 68 on Eze, about 90 on Rodrygo, 70 on Gyökeres. So obviously we spent 750 under Arteta. So take until 992. I definitely haven't used a calculator, by the way, to add that up. So, but I'd say around 900 million. Sorry, 900 million. We've got to spend, not in this transfer window, but obviously the total amount we've got to spend. So close to $1 billion. So that's how it has to go, isn't it? So
I think to afford Eze and Rodrygo and a striker in this window, you're going to have to make a big sale, right? So you'll get something like, let's say Zinchenko goes, it's 10 million. That probably means you're not doing Kivior. If you do, you have to bring in another attacker. So you've got 9 million from Tavares, get a few million maybe from Sambi, a few million from Nelson. I think Vieira will probably go out on loan, but maybe a few million there. But they're probably your real options. You're not going to bring in a lot, right, from sales. So therefore, I think you're probably, to get Eze and Rodrygo, you're probably looking at having to sell Martinelli to make that affordable. Despite the fact I've said there's a lot of money there, because we spent 95 million. You're going to spend another 60 on a striker. So, let's call it 65 million for argument's sake. That takes you to 160. Rodrygo, if it's him, you're looking at 240 there. Eze is another 60. And I can't get to 300 million very easily with sales and wages selling if we've got 200 mil available. So I think you probably have to make another sale there. And it probably have to be Martinelli. Maybe you could just about get with Trossard if you got top value for all of those players I mentioned earlier. But we know that Arsenal do struggle to make those sales, and a lot of them in the last year of their contract, which sort of diminishes their value.
Yo, can I just say, big up Josh, man. Big up everyone coming from Josh's channel, Aston Villa channel, man. AVFTS. Big up, brother. Thank you so much, Josh, my brother, for the raids, and all the best of Villa next season with Emery as well, man. Good evening and all this, but yeah, hopefully you guys do well next season.
I think they'll win the Europa League, Josh.
I think, honestly, Villa fans,
they'll beat Palace in the final if they manage to get there.
Yeah. You know that is Emery's competition. Rotten. That's Emery's competition, man. Like Europa League, like he's won it the most times than any other manager. So
if Tottenham could win it, then.
Well, the thing is with the Europa League, right? It has become a lot easier for English sides to win it now because there aren't any Champions League teams dropping down into it, and I think based off of last season, I think the rest of European football was at a very low quality whenever they faced an English side. Did Spurs play a Spanish team?
They played.
No, Man United.
They played
Bilbao,
Spurs played Frankfurt in the quarters, and then they played. Was it a Danish or Norwegian side in the semi?
Yeah, you've got Bilbao. You've got Bilbao, who are not great, especially coming up against Man United. Like, you can't beat Man United. It's not looking good for you. You've got Betis in the final, who are quite poor. Yeah,
didn't beat Man United in the FA Cup though.
No, you've got Betis, who lost 4-1 to Chelsea in a final. You've got Real Madrid, who got battered 5-1 by Arsenal. I think you've got Barcelona, who are apparently one of the best teams in Europe, conceding 9 to Inter Milan. Was it 9? 8, 9, something like that. I think European football, I think it will be a lot easier for English sides to win it. Not just to win it, though, but to walk European competitions now. I think it's a bit easy now, to be honest.
Yeah. Nah, quick question, by the way.
As long as you don't win it, then.
How long are you willing to give Berta, pretty much? So, like, if he fails this summer, would you give him then another summer? So almost like phases for a sporting director, or do you just apply the same standards to Arteta than what you would do for the sporting director?
No, because you can't do it all in 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that's ever been in a job where you've got to build an area of business.
I think it's quite I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. I don't think it's right to judge the job that he's done halfway through a transfer window. I mean, we're not even halfway through the transfer window, and people will say Berta out. based off
Yeah.
of the deals that we've been doing
Yeah.
so far. I don't think that. I think that's a step too far. I think judge the window at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll fail this window because I think he'll. It's already looking likely that we're going to cover the areas that we need. We might even get everything done in this window, based off of what's being said, what's being said.
Facts.
But I think it's way too early to judge him now. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
He's kind of got Mikel Arteta's job to sort of hold on to be honest, because if he fails this transfer window and he doesn't do what's required this season, it's days. But
Yeah. One thing I will say, right, is I don't think Berta is completely exempt from criticism. Because if the Kepa signing doesn't work out, that's on him. If the Norgard signing don't work, in particular, that's on him. If we get, I don't know, a Madueke, for instance, and that doesn't work out, that's on him. But if
that's an Arteta
if the Sesko signing doesn't work out, then I wouldn't pin the blame on Berta because that's not the player we wanted.
Yeah, but there's all the signings Berta
Madueke
wants.
would be an Arteta signing. You just know it.
Don't say hi
He
to the
loves
boys.
Chelsea players.
You wanna say hello to
all the
boys?
signings we're signing right now are Berta
Come here.
signings.
Come
I think
here.
if you look at
Zubimendi's not Berta's signing because that was done back in
That was
January.
done way
when
before,
Hayes-
yeah.
I think Berta likes going in for you've got Arteta who likes Project Youth and you've got Berta who wants experience now.
Yeah.
Like you look at Sesko, you look at Gyökeres. Yeah. I think that sort of sums Berta up. He wants to win. Like, he's actually got a bit of ambition in this club.
Yeah.
And that's why they brought him in.
No, he'll probably
win
be
now.
the fall guy next season when Arteta fails again. That's my fear.
Possibly.
That's what they do, though, isn't it?
Hey, maybe we'll bring Edu back.
Oh,
my
no.
god.
No.
See, I told you he
Don't
couldn't
even
do
go
anything
there.
with a world-class sporting director. Come on, Edu, let's
don't
go.
say
Don
it.
Edu on his
It's
jet
Arsenal.
skis and Don Edu with his flipping his barbecues and all that.
Yeah.
Is he at Forest now? Because I've seen Forest have just done like a triple deal with some sort of Brazilian
They're actually
club.
signing some Brazilian ballers.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
once.
Yeah,
sounds
he's-
like Edu to me.
What was I going to say? I don't really see it necessarily as Edu Arteta signings, right? I mean, I think there is a plan laid out, which I think both have had input in, and they're just triggering the deals now that sort of arise. Like, there's those memes going around that, Arsenal need forwards and we sign a goalkeeper, defender, and a couple of defensive midfielders, right? But I think that's just the way the window has sort of unfolded. We'd have probably needed those anyway. But I think that we will get these forwards in. I'm quite confident of that. I've always seen these as it's a double act, where it's one person making these calls. There are discussions, there are disagreements. Ultimately, the manager has to want the player. There is no point in signing a player that the manager doesn't want, but it doesn't mean the manager gets the player he absolutely wants. There are those sort of discussions and what have you. And I think when you listen to a lot of people around Arsenal and journalists, and of course they're reporting what Arsenal want them to report, so you have to look at it through that prism as well. But there is that sort of very similar to sort of City and Liverpool, where there are 3 or 4 guys in a room making those decisions based on all the information they're receiving and putting together a plan which adapts and changes as circumstances change. So were they going to sign Norgard this summer? No, they wanted to try and keep Partey or Jorginho. Norgard then became the option when neither of those panned out. But I think the encouraging thing here is you're seeing Arsenal have backup plans and moving to them very, very quickly. Edu did it occasionally, but not probably often enough. And I think that's probably the big success of this window so far. But to Tom's point, you can't judge it at this point. There are, the big things haven't been done yet. And if they're not done, it's a failure. If they are done and they work well, then it's going to be a success. But we're not going to know if this window is a success until much further through the window. You can't judge it on September the 1st. You'll probably know more on the window around March next year.
Do you guys think we'll have some money for the winter this year?
Don't know. I mean,
we don't sign players in January
I mean,
anyway.
we never sign. We
We
never
don't do it
sign
anyway.
yeah,
anybody.
we don't
in
really
January.
utilize that.
We always joke, you know what January
It's
is?
January for Arsenal, just
To
normal
Arsenal,
month. Yeah,
nothing. January.
We don't really
It's like-
utilize a January
like
window.
did it every day last year, but
I don't think you want to use January though.
yeah. No, that's
Like,
what I was going to
January
say.
is a
Yeah.
window.
Using January in all fairness. Like, we
If
should be
you
getting
you should get all the business done in the summer, then we're good to go
Yeah.
for the season.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
it
when
should
That's
be.
you
why
do
Like.
it's got a summer window at the end of the day.
I'm just saying, like, if something's missing, I'm not saying, but you know,
Yeah,
if
yeah. If
needed
we
to
did, then
sign
they had
somebody-
to, but we never really do that.
No,
That's
I
the
know we
thing.
don't.
January's a window used if something's gone wrong, right? Either you've
Right.
got, we should have used this January transfer window. We had around 45 to 50 million pounds. We should have used this January window because we had a load of injuries and the January market was unusually active, which is probably a reaction to the very quiet summer. You don't want to use it, but it's impossible to know if we'll have money in January because we don't know how much we will have spent and what we'll have done in the summer at this moment.
But they could have signed Kevin.
Yeah, I
Steele.
know. Like, this is the thing.
Well,
Like,
the-
if you're
I
going to
know,
go
it's
out of your
dying.
way to not sign anyone because you've got a plan in place for the summer, then surely you're going to get all your business done in the summer. Surely. Maybe not all of it, but at least your striker. Like, that should be done within the first 5
Well,
weeks.
that
of the
should have been
window.
done 4 years ago.
That should be done already.
Yeah.
Especially when Yokres is available for that.
I mean, again, I don't think we could have.
Bam, you got it done. Like, again, especially when Liverpool and Man City make
Again, I don't think we can.
go on, Dom.
Yeah, again, I agree that we need to move forward now, but I don't think we could have signed Kashvili or whatever, however you say his name in January. We couldn't afford him. You know who I
Yeah,
am. I can never pronounce the guy's name.
Wi-Fi
You can say
password.
Kabara.
Yeah.
Dave, Bob.
Yeah, him. I can never pronounce the guy's name right. I'm glad we didn't sign him because that would have been a nightmare. But no, I'm joking. He's a great player. Like, he would have been brilliant. But I don't think we could afford him in January. But I do think we could have gone out and bought players that would have been probably squad players after this summer window in January because there was some money. But I don't think we could have afforded him in January. But your point stands, Rory, that we should have gone out and done something.
Yeah.
Marmouche.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Again,
Yeah.
again, probably unaffordable in January.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I mean-
how much did Man
he
City
wasn't
pay for him
really
again?
unaffordable, was he? Like,
How
Man
much
City
it-
paid the money.
How much did they pay? How much did Man City? What's his fee?
60 odd, wasn't it?
Yeah,
65,
60.
was it?
Was it 60?
Yeah, 60 million for Marmouche. Speaking of the devil, he
Is that
scored
euros
a goal
or
for
pounds?
Cesco,
Pounds and pounds.
and he left in January, bro.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like, this
Yeah.
is
I mean,
what I'm saying.
Marmouche is a good player.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I think
Duran, like, that was another market opportunity.
I just threw it out there.
I think John Duran's
Get a
leaving.
kind of reaction, but
Yeah, but
He is. Yeah.
that was
He's
the
benefiting
market
from that
opportunity in January to get him
Yeah.
in for at least 6 months, or even a loan deal wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, right, with Kvaratskhelia,
Well, Villa needed to sell, didn't they?
with Kvaratskhelia, it was when he scored that goal against Aston Villa in the Champions League, and I was like, we should have got that guy. when he
Bro, he
scored
went on
that
to
goal
win a
against
bloody
Villa.
quadruple, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
I wish he was still
Yeah.
at Napoli.
Do you see Cooper? He won the Serie A as well as a league, and he won about 5 trophies last season. Mental, bro.
He's actually
Wow.
played so many
I
games for
honestly think we
Napoli.
would have won the Champions League that season if we had Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah.
I honestly think we would have.
Yeah, he's top class, man. Absolute top class.
He's a great player.
Scott
He's a
McTominay.
great player.
Scott
McTominay, man.
McSauce, he's a good player.
Sauce, mate. Everyone called it finish, and then
He's
Yep.
best player last season in Serie
So
A.
what happens when you're
Billy
under an elite
Gilmore.
manager in Antonio
Yeah,
Conte?
Conte. Yeah,
Yeah.
Conte. Oh well.
he was brilliant.
Nah, he was.
He was
Great.
On
He's a
so
great
Serie A
to
with
watch.
McTominay, Gilmore, and Lukaku.
Yeah,
Oh, Billy.
Billy,
Philip Billin, mate.
legend.
like this. Yeah.
You know.
I know, like I was like, oh, that's where that guy.
Yeah.
went.
Have they really got Sam Billing?
Philip.
No, he
Philip.
Yeah,
he
From
plays for
Bournemouth.
Kent.
Philip.
He plays for the Kent.
Oh,
Bournemouth.
yes,
team,
I got
John.
mixed up with a cricketer,
Sunderland.
Bertie. Sorry, I got mixed up with a cricketer.
No, don't take him. He's the only good player. Well, he's one of the only good players we have.
Yeah, Sam Billings, a cricketer.
There we go.
So let me ask you, Thom. Are you guys? Who do you keep, Martinelli or
Martinelli.
Yeah, I'll
If
be
it was up
keeping
to me-
Martinelli.
If it was up to me,
Me too. That's why when Dom, you said about Martinelli, about signing Martinelli.
I keep Martinelli. I mean, I wouldn't be in a rush to sell Martinelli, but I think if you told me we could sign Eze and Rodrygo and a number 9 if we sold Martinelli, I think I'd be tempted, much as I like Martinelli. But I think that if you want Eze and Rodrygo and a number 9, a big signing has to go, and I don't think Trossard quite makes the maths add up. It doesn't on my spreadsheet anyway.
I mean,
Because I genuinely
what
have a
I would do
spreadsheet.
with
That's how lazy
Martinelli-
I am.
Yeah, well, what I would do with Martinelli, right, is convert him as a striker. I think he's more of a striker than a left winger anyway. So I'd still buy Rodrygo and Eze, but keep Martinelli as the striker. Hence, I would let go of Havertz. Because again, like, the guy with wages, like, I mean, it just doesn't make no sense to me that you have your highest earner on the bench. Say you bring in a Gyökeres, that's the end of Havertz. That is the cut-off point. He ain't getting back in the lineup after that.
No.
Whereas with
That's
Sesko, like,
another
Havertz will start the
option.
season up top. But then he'll mould
But see, that's
Sesko
the
in
question.
somehow.
But then that's a question that I have: is Arteta going to do what's best for the club, or what he personally wants?
We know the
Well,
answer to that.
Yeah.
Well, in his mind, I think the two things are the same, right? Now, you can argue whether that is right or wrong, but in his mind, that will be the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's been we're going on 6 years, and we've had no trophies under him. You would think, in his mind, he would be like, "It's time to win. Let me trust for let me get these guys in."
personally,
At
if
this
it
point.
was up to me,
I got to win something, or I'm going to lose my job.
if it was up to me, I'd sell
but-
Martinelli and Trossard, to be honest. But I don't think you can do that in the same
No, you
window.
can't.
No, you
But
can't.
I think
that's
you've got
what
to
I'd
keep both
do.
of them.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, like, Trossard's got no pace. Yes, he's a good finisher, but you have Eze in there. You
I
got
think, yeah, that's the
Gyökeres
thing
in
with
there.
both of them.
You get red.
They're
Like,
just too inconsistent. We need
Right.
we need a worldie.
but I think Martinelli could learn behind. Martinelli's never really had anybody to teach him. On that left, he was just kind of. You know what I mean? Plus, I mean, you guys know we've got inverted everything, and nobody overlaps on that side, and we leave him out there like on a desert fucking island.
The thing about Martinelli is, right, I don't think I've ever seen him cut inside. I swear I always see him go on the outside every single
No, he's always
time.
on touchline.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand why we never tell him to cut inside hardly. Because I've seen pretty much every winger in Europe, in the Premier League, cut inside, take on their man. Martinelli, not to say he doesn't take on his man, but
that's
it
very
frustrates me
rarely.
that he doesn't cut inside. Like, why has he never been told to cut inside?
I think it's because
on his
he never
half?
has like an overlapping fullback to create the space for him to cut inside into the
Yeah.
space. There's always someone in that kind of area, whether they're inverting or whatever. So then he has to go to the byline. I feel like the only probably time he was trying to cut inside is when we had Xhaka, because again, he was someone that could play the ball to him quickly when there was space in behind for him to cut in and do his thing. That's why he got the most goals in that season. And obviously, again, he was inverting or obviously interchanging with Jesus as like striker wise in terms of Jesus going to the left, him up front. Just quickly go on your point, Rory, about obviously Berta. Yeah, for me, I would probably give him until the end of the season for the simple fact that, again, I want to see how we move in terms of how we sell players. Again, I seen the obviously graphic earlier saying that our highest sell is still Oxlade-Chamberlain from 2017, the 35 million or whatever.
Was Nicholas Anelka.
Yeah, exactly, man, crazy. So yeah, that's something we have to improve on. Obviously, we don't really have the
Where
players
does
at the minute.
Smith Rowe fit in, by the way?
He's about fourth.
Yeah, he's fourth. I think it was 34. I think
we sold him it's not about the same amount, didn't
I
we?
thought
Yeah,
it
with
was
add-ons and
35
stuff
mil
like
for
that.
It was
it.
add-ons and all that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
the
add-ons.
add-on's not been triggered yet. Right.
Yeah, it's like the
fine.
base set fee kind of thing. Because I think even Arsenal Chamberlain is 35 with 5 million add-ons to 40. So yeah, man. But yeah, it's still obviously not great when you look at all the teams, like even Chelsea. I think theirs is Hazard with 89. Man United is Ronaldo with 80. Obviously Liverpool, Coutinho with 124. So these are the kind of teams around us. Even Harry Kane, obviously the Spurs went for 80 plus. So yeah, man, that's definitely something we need to improve on and getting more money for our players instead of letting them go for free. So yeah, I'm looking at Bert for that in terms of can you get the maximum amount of money for players that really don't really warrant it. Even like the reports I'm hearing about 10 mil for Zinchenko. I know obviously his wages is a big factor, but you're looking at that thinking, can we at least get half of the money we paid for him? We paid what, 34, 35 mil? Can we get half of it? What, 15 to 17 maybe? I still think he's a good Premier League quality player. Maybe obviously not good enough to win the title at left back, but I still think he can add some obviously good attributes. So that's part of the reason. And again, just in terms of can we fill every kind of position in the summer window, man? Because again, we always look like we're just a position short, whether it's in the defense or up front or whatnot. So I feel like this is the summer, and obviously if Dom's right that we've got a load of money, hopefully we can execute every position. Like in terms of how many players would you guys like to see in? What is the kind of number? Because obviously at the minute it seems like we've got 4. We've obviously Kepa, Mosquera, Norgard, and Zubomendi. What's the kind of number where you think you'd be happy with, you guys?
I think honestly for me, another, if you include the 4 we got right now, another 5.
Another
5
for me. That's
because
right.
you know the striker obviously. For me, I think we need 2 winners personally. One for the backup for Saka, or like competition for Saka. I think we're looking at that Bakayoko guy from PSV, someone like up on the right, and then an actual upgrade on the left for Martinelli and Trossard.
Yeah, but where
I
will
was gonna say, where would you play Winieri?
Because if you bring it in Eze as like Odegaard competition, then where would you have Ethan? Because that will sort of hinder his minutes.
I think he plays behind Saka.
Did Ethan play enough last season though? Because for me, he didn't.
No,
he got 5 minutes. Did Ethan get enough game time last season? Because he didn't. He got 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
No, but he
should be 100%.
You think about that. The whole time Odegaard was out, he never touched the field.
Exactly.
I mean, that's on Arteta. And then when we needed him because we didn't have anybody up front, when Saka went down, he played on the and he was great. I mean, for a kid that young, he played pretty well.
Thanks.
And then as soon as Saka came back, he never touched the field again. Or he'd come on with 2 minutes left.
I think the thing with Ethan Wanyeri, right, is he got 1,000 minutes roughly last year. I haven't got it in front of me, which is unusual for me because I normally have the stats at my fingertips. But Ethan Wanyeri for me did get.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I don't even have notes.
I've normally got them up here. I just don't have that one. But Ethan Wanyeri, I think overall probably got the minutes I'd expect him to get over the course of the season. I think the 2 things I would look at for his minutes would be, you're right, Cooper, was that not necessarily instantly when Odegaard was struggling, but was out, sorry. But once we started to struggle about 3 or 4 games later, when teams sort of worked out what we were doing, I think Ethan Wanyeri there would have been interesting. I think he probably could have got some more minutes at the end of the season. But I think if you look at Ethan Wanyeri when he got consistent minutes, his body started to let him down a little bit. And I think it impacted his form a little bit as well. He's not as physically developed as Miles Lewis-Skelly and therefore able to cope. And I think that needs to be factored in when looking at him. And so therefore, I think overall he got about the right amount of minutes. I think you could look at when they came and slightly move that in an ideal world. But I think, I can't see how we can fit 5 signings in unless you are looking to make sales. I think Josh is right. I'd like to see 2 wingers, but I don't see it being Eze and Rodrygo without a big departure. But something like a Bakayoko or a Hudson-Odoi. But I do think you have to look at Ethan Wanyeri and also Max Dowman coming through as well. I know he's only 15, 16.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
And I think getting those 2 minutes is going to be important. Even if they're off the bench, you're winning 2-0, 3-0, and you're bringing them on for 15, 20 minutes at the end to give, someone a break is important.
We got to be winning 2-0, 3-0.
Yeah, but we have, I think, we'll see how the season goes, but I do think last season was the anomaly in rather than the norm. Right? Arsenal scored record number of goals in the previous 2 seasons, but I think you don't want to block the pathway too much for them, but equally you do want to win. You need to find that balance. And I think something like a Rodrygo and Eze coming in on the left, you've got Martinelli that can move to the right if needed, for minutes as well. You don't ideally want to see him going there, but you've got those options, and but making sure there's plenty of game time for Wanyeri or Endowment is going to be important. I think probably you're looking at 3 more at most at this point, unless there are unexpected departures.
I think you talk realistically in how Arsenal are going to do it. Yeah, you're right, Dom. I think only 3 more probably, to be honest. Maybe the striker and another winner, and then maybe we'll look at Hato again, possibly. I know that Valencia guy's coming in, but maybe
I'd like to see,
especially if Zinchenko goes.
I think Zinchenko going. You're looking at this lad coming in. I think if Kivior goes, that's where I'd love to see Hato come in.
Kivior as well, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I think you can increase on 3 if players go that aren't scheduled to go. But
yeah. So who would be the 3 then? What, Eze, striker, and then the left winger? Would you think?
No, I think you're looking at Rodrygo or Eze, a striker, and then possibly one more winger, or either a young sort of Odegaard backup or a aging Odegaard backup, depending. But I'd rather see Wanyeri get minutes there. But I think just in terms of his physical size, he's probably better getting those minutes wide before moving inside.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly not against, say, a Hudson. I think right 8 or right wing backup player, something in the sort of Norgard, Mosquera type player where it's not going to be massive amounts of money, not expecting loads and loads.
Man, when he comes on, am I right? When he comes on, he's like, your eyes are just glued to him.
Ethan,
Ethan Wanyeri. Right, like he come on, he scored goals at the end. You were like, he was the short time he had on playing last year. He scored. It was like the moment wasn't too big for him. He's too good to not find a space for him in this team.
No, he for me should have played when not Saka, when Odegaard got injured. Yeah, he should have played that, but he played Trossard there for quite a few games, didn't he? Instead, and we're sitting there thinking, what? Just give Ethan the chance, man. Give him the run out in that position.
It worked in the first 2 or 3
games. And even like
it worked in the first 2 or 3.
But it was like how many times towards the end of the season we were saying like, put Wanyeri
even
like Odegaard's
even in the pointless games. Well, they say pointless, but when we focus on Champions League,
minutes over him, by the way.
In fucking last game of the season, and he's not playing.
Yeah, it was Sterling who got more minutes than him, by the way. Someone who's on loan and doesn't have a future at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Hey, Arteta knew in 10 minutes. That's all it took. 10-minute phone call to sign him. He knew it. It's going to be a magical
guys,
season.
Just quickly want to end with the Rodrygo sort of news coming out that I think apparently he got benched again. He's going to be benched again for their next game against Juventus. Yeah. But a lot of people saying that he could possibly leave. That's the only way we can open the door for Arsenal to maybe go for moves. He's got to actually come out and say he wants to leave, which he may do, or he may not yet. So, but if he does become on the table and if he does want to leave, of course, it's an absolute no-brainer, I think, for all of us. But I'll start with you first, Posh, bro. Do you like how big of a signing do you think this would be for Arsenal, man?
Well, and it's a big if we do sign Rodrygo, I think that would be a statement signing. I think it'll be one of our biggest signings we've done in a long time. I'm not going to read too much into the whole, he's been benched, that means he's going to leave. I don't buy into, I'm not going to buy into all of that. I'm just hoping that we do get this done. Because I've said, like I said at the very beginning, you got to be greedy in a very important transfer window. Eze and Rodrygo would be fantastic. And Rodrygo, if we do sign him, he'd be one of our biggest statement signings, probably since we signed Alexis Sanchez. Not that I'm comparing the two, but in terms of like statements, it'll be as big as it'll be.
Absolutely.
That, effect as when we signed Sanchez or Ozil. Not saying that they're similar, but it will be the same kind of statement effect signing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Can I very quickly go next because I can be
Go
very
on.
very quick. I agree entirely with what Posh just said.
There you go.
Easy.
And I agree with you on the whatever you said about the finances.
Yeah, I've got a
And I'm
spreadsheet.
agreeing with Dom, who's agreeing with Posh.
There you go.
I mean, very quickly, I think Eze and Rodrygo would be like
Go on.
amazing, and like as I said, you've got to leave space for those youngsters. But actually, at that there's at some point there's also the fact that those two plus a striker, I think you're in business, right? But I think realistically, it's not going to happen. But Rodrigo's that statement signing.
Yeah. Tops, what do you think about this Rodrygo situation, man?
Yeah, I agree obviously with the panel in terms of this would be a massive statement signing in terms of getting like a top star that's wanted or is going to be wanted by a plethora of European top teams coming to Arsenal. But it just feels like, again, it's depending on if he can obviously get a decision from Xabi Alonso whether he's going to be part of the main team next season. If that's not the case, he's going to have to say that he wants to leave, and then maybe we can obviously negotiate a deal for him. But again, it would be a massive signing, and it will take a lot of pressure off Saka. Obviously, you've seen it in games where Saka's got the ball and there's 4, 5, 6 players around him because they're not really concerned about what's happening on the left. Whereas I feel like when you get Rodrygo in on the left-hand side, there's a bit more, obviously, things to worry about for oppositions in terms of having to occupy the left-hand side as well as the right. That might free Saka up with a bit more space. And again, he might improve consequently because of, Odegaard as well. Yeah.
Right, you could
That's it, man. So the whole, just one signing could just obviously change the whole attack in terms of the dynamics because again, there's just more kind of danger in that left-hand side. Whereas the last 3 years, it's just been the right. And if you lock off that right, then you lock off Arsenal really. So yeah, man, I think it would be a statement signing. It's going to cost a lot of money. I feel like the only reason I'm kind of accepting them haggling over the striker situation is obviously what Dom says is correct, that they're trying to put that down to as small as possible so they can then get the money for the Rodrygo deal, which is obviously going to cost a lot of money because he's a good player. That's fair enough. That's cool. Because again, we're strengthening both the striking area and the left forward area. So yeah, hopefully that's the case.
You think that's
yeah, go on.
Sorry, Tops. You think that's the plan?
I'm hoping it is, man. And that's why I feel like I was a bit obviously.
I'm with you.
Was this right? Yeah.
I'm with you.
100%. That's why I was a bit obviously reserved in terms of going all like ham about the Norgard thing when I seen the price of it, because I'm thinking if they're paying that little for a Partey replacement, surely they're using the money to really enhance the attack, which is what we need. And again, obviously I'm realistic. I know we're not got a plethora of money, like it's not infinity. It's gonna have to be a limit. So I know there's gonna be a stopping point with the money. So I'm hoping they're saving the money, getting the squad players for dirt cheap, and then in those attacking areas, you're paying your 60, 70 million for one player, 60, 70 million for another player, and etc. So, if we can get it done over the line, I'll be over the moon. It'll be a star signing, and hopefully we can do it, bro. But I'm not too sure at the minute, man. I think for me to believe that we can do it, I've got to see Arsenal actually negotiating with Real Madrid, and that's going to take Rodrygo saying he wants to leave. So until I see that, man, I'm obviously taking it with a pinch of salt, bro.
But Real Madrid has come out and said if you want them.
Yeah, they've set a price. They've set the price.
Set a price.
So I'm just waiting for Arsenal to negotiate for it. So
yeah, and I think I do. I think once they get their striker, which I pray it's Gyökeres.
Yeah,
you think about all that fucking firepower.
That'd be mental, bro.
It'd be crazy,
the spaces that are going to be opening up.
Rodrygo, Gyökeres, and Saka front three.
Man, with Eze.
With Eze,
they would make these signings.
Probably the best front three in Europe, to be honest.
It's easier said than done.
I know.
It is so. Yeah, it is with Arsenal as well. You just
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But you're also looking at what would sit behind that as well. Is not
Rice with Mendy.
Yeah, Saliba.
And I think, I mean behind it in terms of the forward line, right? So you've seen that Arsenal's defence, right? Someone comes out and a good player comes in. You then look, might not be the same level, but it's not, it's never going to be. You're not going to have 22 world-class stars, but you look at what it would still be quite impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's key as well.
Anyone else want to add anything on Rodrygo?
I mean, I think with Rodrygo, obviously this would be a statement, right? I think this would be more of a statement than the Eze transfer. Obviously, I prefer him over Eze due to the fact he's more natural on that left-hand side, because I think that's where Eze will play if he was going to come in. So this would be a statement signing 100%. If you end up getting Rodrygo and Eze and then a Sesko or Gyökeres, then that's when Arsenal are serious. But if we were going to sign a Sesko and then an Eze, I don't think that is good enough to kick on and win the league. No doubt, like we've got a top 4 squad and a top 4 manager, but we don't have a manager and a squad to kick on for that Premier League title. Whereas a signing like this, a signing like Gyökeres would definitely kick us on to win that league and perhaps the Champions League as well. So I think, look, just pay whatever it takes to get Rodrygo over the line, because at the end of the day, right, if he doesn't want to stay at Real Madrid, I am hearing rumours that Saudi could be interested. These are just rumours, but I reckon if Saudi want to pay up, I reckon he will go over to Saudi if no one else is coming in for him, because I'm shocked that no one else, aside from Arsenal, are in for Rodrygo at the moment. So, look, I think this is a no-brainer for me, and it's one that will definitely get us over the line. And, I mean, it's obviously one or two options. You stay on the bench at Man City, don't develop. I know the higher risk of winning trophies.
Rory, I'm sorry to interrupt. I got to run.
Yeah, big bless up crew,
big
man.
up, bro.
Every single
Good to
time.
meet you, man.
Thank you every time. You know, it was great with you guys. Tops, finally met you. Been watching your show lately. Good show.
Appreciate you, bro.
And you know, Thom and Dom and Rory and Posh. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Cooper, my brother.
As I'm leaving, all I have to say is hit the likes. You know, subscribe, and again, just vote for Josh. And
sign Gyökeres.
You have to sign it off with a sign Gyökeres, isn't it?
Sign Gyökeres, sign Eze, sign Rodrygo.
Simple as that, brother.
I
Bless up,
think we'll
Cooper,
be
man.
very happy with that. But
100%.
Later, guys. I got a dad.
Bless up, brother.
See you later,
Take care,
man.
Cooper. See you soon, man.
Thank you, guys.
Bless, bro.
Bye, Coop.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying regarding Rodrygo, it's either you sit on the bench, not develop. I know, look, you've got a higher chance of winning trophies there despite sitting on the bench, but you're not really going to be developing as a player, or you come to Arsenal and you develop on that left-hand side, which is your best position. So, look, again, it's a no-brainer. I have no doubt that Rodrygo would want to come to Arsenal. It's just up to Arsenal, isn't it? So,
yeah.
I wonder if a Bayern Munich might be in for him if he were to turn around and say, I want to leave. But I can't see anyone else.
I can see Williams going to Bayern, to be honest. I don't think he's going to go Barcelona due to their financial restraints. So.
I don't think so.
They always manage to work it out. Like, do what Villa just did and sell their women's team.
Yeah, they actually saw their women's team, man.
Mental. Well, that makes sense. I don't think it's right. Right. I mean, it really shouldn't happen. I'm not picking on Villa. Chelsea have done it with hotels and that sort of thing. And I just don't think it's right. But it does mean that they probably now can spend again this summer and sort of ease their problems from a PSR perspective. And I'm not, to be clear, I'm not picking on Villa. I just don't like that. If it doesn't count as losses against you, how can it count as a profit for you from selling it? But hey.
But yeah, is that anything else? Thom, have you want to add anything to Rodrygo?
Get him.
Yeah, simple as that. Simple as that, man. But yeah, that is that, guys. That is everything for today, people.
Josh, before we go, what realistically would you like to see with that number 9 and left wing this summer?
Who would like to sign?
Yeah. So if you could sign 3 more for the front 3, who would they be?
3. Oh, good question, man. Rodrygo, obviously, on the left. But if we stays at Real Madrid and we can't get him, then I'd look at someone like Lookman from Atalanta. I would love Conceição from Juventus. I know he plays more on the right, but when he played for Porto against us, he looked really good. He's been doing really well for Juventus. I'm seeing Tottenham look at Kudus. I'm thinking we should be there as well for someone like Mohamed Kudus.
I don't know about Kudus. I mean, I used to be a fan of his, but I just think...
he says not in West Ham. That's the thing. Look at the difference between him in the first season compared to
I know, but
last
I just think his ego, right? Because let's have it right, yeah. Saka's going to be playing over him on that right-hand side, yeah?
True.
He's been like playing every single game. And yes, Kudus can rotate, but I think with his ego, right? Obviously, we know Arteta can't handle with egos. I think his ego currently with the West Ham team and the fact he's starting every week, if he then, I don't know, if he brings that to Arsenal, I reckon, as a squad player, I mean, I'm not too sure. I think that could be a high risk.
The
Whether
thing is,
that's a risk willing
Depends
to
on the
take, I
price
don't
as
know.
well, right?
yeah, that's the thing I was gonna say. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how much they're actually like looking to
I
get.
think it's
for,
about
but
70 or 80 million.
yeah, it's a lot in it.
85 mil release clause, but they're not getting that.
Nah,
Yeah,
no
I
way.
mean,
chance.
West Ham fans reportedly want him gone as well because
Yeah.
he's had a really poor season.
Yeah,
So I don't know about Kudus, to be honest.
I'd have taken him in a heartbeat 2 years ago. but
Yeah.
I don't know much
100%.
now.
I just look at it. I just don't think his mind's in West Ham. I just think better probably he'll thrive.
Yeah, but
personally.
probably he's awful on the left, by the way, and that's where he's been playing for West Ham. So that's where he would be playing for us, I reckon. But he's no good there. He's not particularly great in that attacking midfield department. So I don't know about Kudus at the moment.
I think I mean I agree with you, Rory, but you do have to look at it as well. But West Ham had a poor season as well. But I agree with you actually. You know,
But like out
yeah,
of their star players, like I said, Bowen, Paqueta, like I reckon out of them three players in Kudus, Bowen, and Paqueta, you could ask any West Ham fan right now, who would you rather let go of? It would probably
let's
be
say
Kudus.
Kudus.
to be
Yeah, they'll say Kudus. Yeah. But nah, yeah, that for me. Any other left winners out there?
honest.
Matoma.
Nah.
It's a shout.
I don't
money.
know.
So it's a lot of money.
Yeah, they rejected. Was it £9 million bid?
Yeah,
from
that's
Saudi
the
in
thing
January,
with
was it?
Brighton,
So,
man.
yeah, they're tough negotiators, bro.
Yeah, they get money.
Yeah,
for their
there's also
players.
been linked with Gordon as well. I don't really want Gordon.
No.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I think he's over.
Just on Matoma, Brighton don't need to sell either because they've rinsed Chelsea for another 50-60 mil.
That's it. Yeah, for João Pedro. So
Chelsea do that with us, don't they? So
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is, though, right? Anthony Gordon. You've just heard me say no about 5 times. Anthony Gordon. I don't like him, and personally, I think Harvey Barnes is just as good, if not better.
Harvey Barnes. Yeah.
Is that you,
Harvey
Tom?
Barnes is good.
Anthony Gordon. Is that you?
No. Yeah, but personally, if we're going to Newcastle and we're getting a winger, yeah, go and get Harvey Barnes because I think he's better. I think he's more
Yeah,
consistent.
I actually agree with that, to be honest.
He's more consistent and he'd probably be cheaper as well.
He'd undoubtedly be cheaper.
He's not an England international. Well, he should be if Anthony Gordon's getting in the team.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Jacob Murphy, I'd take him over Anthony Gordon.
But yeah,
I'll tell you what, this may sound unpopular, but I would actually take Murphy as a backup for Saka, to be honest.
Yeah, I would as well.
better than Madueke, that's for sure.
yeah, I'd rather you over Madueke, mate. To be honest, Posh, mate. Get you on the winners than Madueke. I can't even lie. But yeah, let's shout the channels, man. Let's shout everyone's channels. By the way, all the links is in the panel down below, guys. Make sure you go over there, subscribe. But we'll start with you, Posh, man. I know you know you don't do the YouTube channel and all this, but where can they find you, bro?
You can find me on X at Posh Bertie, and sometimes I'm on other people's channels as well, occasionally. So yeah, that's essentially where you can find me.
Yeah, listen, make sure you follow Posh on X. I love some of your quotes, like when you reply to some tweets, man. They make me laugh. you keep it real, man. You keep it real.
At least you do. Lee Meadows doesn't, that's for sure.
Oh, bless up Lee every single time as well. Yeah, but bless up Posh, man. Always welcome on the channel, my friend. Whenever you want. Absolute, always pleasure to have you, my friend. But Tom, do you want to shout because you got a new channel, yeah, you got a new channel, right? It's right there.
Yeah. It's in the description. So check me out. I'd appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. This week for content, I have 3 videos recorded, and I'm gonna post them when Arsenal announce the signings.
So September, yeah.
Yeah.
I think content will be quite heavy this week, July especially. I don't really plan on doing videos about transfer rumours. I just want to do videos about the players holding the shirt because,
Fair play.
yeah, it will just be a load of waffle, to be honest. But yeah, other than that, I've got a few other videos planned. I filmed one yesterday. I need to edit that, but that'll probably come out next week because I just want to get the transfer stuff done this week. I don't really want to interfere with that. And I went out today. I went prime Luca AFC mode and did a day out vlog. But yeah, that'll probably come up next week as well. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you, bro.
I don't know if I've spoken to Posh Bertie before. Might be the first time.
I think we
I
were
think they
on a
did-
video together on Josh's channel at the start of last season.
Was it that long ago? Wow.
It was that
Yeah,
long
it
ago,
might
yeah.
be.
That was the first time I was on your channel as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting fade memories of that now. But Tops,
It was a
it's
while
been
ago.
nice chatting to you. It's been nice chatting to you, mate. Yeah, I'll definitely have to start checking you out because I thought kept it real today, and I thought you definitely. I couldn't have said any better what you've been saying today. So I'll definitely check your channel out. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Nah, thanks for your time, bro. I really appreciate
That's
it.
fine. Anytime.
Rory, bro, you got anything coming up?
Yeah, I might have a couple of streams planned, depending on transfers. Hopefully, there are transfers this week, or else, yeah, again, it's just going to be probably pre-recorded videos because I've still not bought the upgrade for Restream yet. So that should be happening because obviously the free upgrade thing on StreamYard has run out for some absurd reason. So I can't do live streams on StreamYard. So I have to follow your suit, Josh, innit? So I've got to try Restream, innit? And it works okay, to be fair. All I need is just the upgrade. But yeah, I've really enjoyed tonight, actually.
Yeah, it's been a good stream.
Say again.
It's been a good stream. We haven't had the stress of Arsenal playing over the weekend.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
that's probably it.
I mean, Tops, I've dropped you a sub, by the way, my bro.
Oh,
Keep
appreciate that, man.
So,
Appreciate it, guys.
yeah, that's all I can say, really.
Nah, bless up, bro, every single time. Thom, mate, big up Thom, bro. Loving the shorts as always, man. Especially the one you did today about Arsenal's new confirmed signing with the beer, bro, as well. Yeah,
I kept my face straight for about 45 seconds.
Right, hold on.
Yeah.
Before we go, I've just opened up YouTube. I was gonna drop Tops a sub, but no, what I've just seen is mental. It's
What?
I don't know if you've heard of it. Goal 90.
Goal 90.
I think there's some Goal 90. I think it's some sort of journalist sort of thing, like that puts news up. But they've just released a video 6 hours ago called "This is why Arsenal signed Christian Norgard," and the thumbnail has
Better than Partey. Fuck.
yeah.
No way.
No, turn it in, mate.
No,
I'm not going to bother wasting my time.
Block 'em.
Yeah, block them.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think I could last 45 seconds keeping my face straight trying to do that take that he's better than Partey.
That's crazy.
I get the signing, I understand it, but I think to say he's better than Partey would be wow. That would be,
It's
that would say
ridiculous.
something, yeah.
Yeah, but Dom, you got anything lined up?
Yeah. I have a video out tomorrow on a subject which it will be out at 8:01, and I'm going to vamp for a second while I try and remember what the hell I talked about. Unusually, this was not a one take. I had to do a second take. People on the group will have seen it earlier. 5 seconds in, my son walked in behind me and started dancing, and I had to end it and do it again.
Man.
I didn't like the shirt he was wearing. I did not like the shirt he was wearing.
No, I know. I'm actually now checking that. I am. Yes, I'm doing a breakdown on Mosquera tomorrow because which is why I had the stats in my head. So that's coming out tomorrow. yeah, I do shorts most days, but only if there's something interesting like Thom. I don't cover rumours overly unless there's a sort of purpose behind it. To sort of talk about a broader point. But yes, that will be out tomorrow morning at 8:01.
There we go. 8:01 settings.
Yeah, because that way I can avoid all
That
the 8
time
o'clock.
as well.
Yes, well, there's a reason for it because then I can avoid all the big channels that put stuff out at 8 o'clock, and I'm
Fair play, mate. Fair play.
because I'm a very small channel, having started about 6 months ago. But Tops, I mean, lovely to meet you tonight because I haven't met you before.
You too, bro.
It's been a really fun stream, by the way, and I finally, after about an hour, sort of gone back to a more normal colour. And Bertie, as always, it's a pleasure, and I look forward to continuing to argue with you on Twitter most days.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Do you know what? In all seriousness,
friends.
all right, arguing friends. I actually, I really enjoy discussing things with Posh because we don't agree often. But what I like about it is that there's some reasoning behind everything, and I think on both sides. And I think that's what I love about it, which is why I enjoy arguing with him on Twitter most days.
There we go. Last but not least, Thomas, man, debut on the channel. It's been an absolute pleasure, man, and I'll definitely get you on many, many more. But if you want to shout, what you got coming up and your channel as well, bro.
Yeah, man. Obviously, thank you once again for having me on. It's been a wicked show. Big up, obviously, the panel. Definitely have to follow you guys after this for sure. It's been an absolute pleasure. But yeah, obviously, my channel is T Chanzo Sports. I'm doing 2 shows a day in the weekday now, talking about obviously all things transfers and then just everyday news, just not obviously Arsenal, but all the other clubs as well, man. One at obviously 9 a.m. and then the other one in the afternoon about 2:30. So make sure you guys subscribe for that. Do a few shorts as well. So yeah, just trying to build up the channel and just trying to put the work in, man. But yeah, big up everyone again in the chat and obviously at the panel as well. Been an excellent chat and can't wait to come back again with you guys, man. It's been fun.
I've just given you a like, but I am disappointed to hear it's 9 and 2:30 and not 9:01 and 2:31.
Big up, man. Respect, bro.
Nah, bless up, brother.
It took me a good 5 minutes to find you because I'm that inept.
Nah, bless up, guys. Appreciate everyone. Big up the chat as always. Amazing people leaving the comments and likes as always. Thank you guys for that. I'm going on the Buy and Views channel, so we're going to redirect to him right now. Go into there, type in TG Raids, go and show some support to my brother Liam. He does like a football show, talk about everything going around football. So I'll be on there in just a minute as well. But yeah.
Josh, can you talk down Rodrygo just in case you try and sign him?
Yeah, exactly, bro. He's a Bayern fan.
And big up Sesko to make sure they sign.
Exactly. But yeah, guys, I'm back tomorrow as always on this channel. So big up everyone. Take care, everyone. Thanks for the support.